or us versus them.
Panogitsa moru purita nonda kantai mantunat nyagitoru iluga.
GMH Administrator Lillian
University of Guam Dean of Nursing Margaret
There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Help is on the way from a marine medical.
Contrai peligro na fansafuham Deus protege Islam.
out in the public where all are more exposed.
585 have tested positive.
Oh, so here goes nothing. In case you didn't know, baby, I'm crazy about you. I would be lying if I said that I could live my life without you. Even though I don't tell you all the time, you had my heart a long, long time ago. In case you didn't know. In case you didn't know.
Hey, good morning.
Happy day.
620 and to kick it off a little bit of Micronation. In case you didn't know, good morning on you, Guam. Containing COVID, it's the KWM News Takeover, Guam's favorite I-94, of course. And it's all proudly brought to you by Carlos Insurance, the Bank of Guam, Coast 360, Ambrose, and IT&E at 621, fresh off a 3-day weekend, so belated Memorial Day.
For some people.
For some people. So let me give you a little backstory. Last week, Sabrina was like, hey, Monday's a holiday. And then I was like, oh, there's no holidays in radio. And she was like, well, there is now. And then you just ended up going to work anyway.
Yeah, I did.
The kind of trooper you are. So I felt guilty staying home.
I still had work to do.
Well, I made you something to eat for today. So.
Yay!
621. Well, let's get right into it. As we always do, we start the show. Good morning on the way. Hold on. Let me shout you guys out here. Thanks for joining us here on the radio. Of course, KUAM FM, Agani Guam. It's I-94 Guam's favorite. Thank you again to our I-94 family for letting us move in here. Temporarily, we'll see. Also, there's an audio stream, Docomo Channel 10, the KUAM News app, and also KUAM.com. Remember, 8 o'clock, we jump over to KUAM TV 11, where we bring you the last half of the show from 8 to 10. And as always, last but not least, on the Edward R. Murrow award-winning social media networks that are totally legitimate all the way. Our KUAM News Facebook Live audience, good morning at 6:22. Now let's do the news. With a dive into the day's COVID-19 headlines from the KUAM News team, Sabrina Salas Matanani, good morning.
Off at 8, good morning, everyone. The Department of Public Health's lab was closed for the Memorial Day holiday, but over the weekend, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases went up by 1 after a woman tested positive at the Guam Memorial Hospital. According to Public Health's situation report, the woman was identified while staying at a government quarantine facility and was tested at GMH. The total number of confirmed cases stands at 166, 5 deaths, and 138 recoveries. For detailed information about COVID cases on Guam, you can read the Public Health's daily situation report on their website. After a week of delays, the feds have finally been able to transfer its first allotment of $276 million for pandemic unemployment relief to the Guam Department of Labor. According to DOL Director David De La Sola, U.S. DOL was having system issues for over a week. Although the transfer has finally been made, displaced workers are still not able to apply online. De La Sola says the online application should be launched shortly. Meanwhile, Senator Regine Bisco-Lee has scheduled a virtual oversight hearing over DOL for Monday, June 1st to discuss the implementation of the FPUC and PUA programs. The controversial issue of double pay heads to court this afternoon. Attorney Tom Fisher represents frontliner police officer Steve DePasnia. Last week, he filed a writ asking the court to order the governor to pay double pay to frontliners. The governor is relying on an opinion by the attorney general that finds that if a department or facility remains open, like police or the hospital, then the employees, though essential, aren't entitled to double pay. But Fisher disagrees with the opinion, calling it lazy, and that the law is clear that employees are entitled to the double pay. The governor has acknowledged that some form of extra pay is due to frontliners, so she came up with a pay differential of 10, 15, and 25% based on risk. 3 bills have been introduced to address the issue, but Fisher again says they're not needed because the law already mandates frontliners be paid. The case goes before Judge Anita Sokola at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Meanwhile, the Guam Federation of Teachers for the past 2 weeks has been collecting names of individuals wanting to join their lawsuit, which they indicated they plan to file today. At last check, up to 500 GovGuam frontliners had signed up for the pending litigation. The governor said the government cannot afford to pay double pay and has threatened the possibility of furloughs. More than 60 passengers who are being quarantined at Hotel Santa Fe in Tamuning have been transferred. According to a notice given to passengers, their issues and concerns about the government quarantine facility were heard, and the government has made the decision to relocate all passengers to a facility that is better suited to complete the remaining quarantine days. The more than 60 passengers have since been transferred to Ocean Hotel, Garden Court in Tumon. There is no official word yet from GSA as to what the particular issues and concerns were with Hotel Santa Fe. GDOE, along with Pacific Unlimited Incorporated and Matson, will be issuing USDA families to farmers' food boxes and disaster household distribution food commodity bags at 2 new locations starting tomorrow. The distribution at GDOE's warehouse in Petey has ceased and moved to different locations. On Wednesday, May 27th, distribution will take place at the Teedson Upper Baseball Field from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then on Friday, May 29th, food will be distributed at Teedson Upper Baseball Field and Dedido Farmers Market, again from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Please note only 2,000 food bags and boxes will be distributed at each site on a first-come, first-served basis. According to GDOE, last week, traffic congestion had been an issue at the PD warehouse, and they were looking at ways to alleviate the problem. Also, over the weekend, Vice Speaker Talina Nelson wrote the governor requesting the activation of the Guam National Guard to assist and to look at the expansion of distribution sites across the island. Starting today through Friday, the Guam Homeless Coalition, GURA, and Public Health will conduct COVID-19 testing of the island's homeless population as part of their 2020 Passport to Services program. The testing is from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. It starts today at the Tamuning Gym, Wednesday at Paseo, Thursday at the EPAL Main Pavilion, and Friday in Dedido at the Old Fire Station at the Iglesia Circle. Catered meals and gift bags containing food and hygiene products will be provided to the homeless after testing. Providers will also conduct initial assessments of those participating to determine housing options that are available for them. There is still no word on when the Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration will be opening a hardened shelter for the island's homeless population. Archbishop Michael Burns announces the celebration of mass services inside churches will resume this weekend. This comes on the heels of President Trump's call for states to allow places of worship to reopen. Archbishop Burns says with the opening of churches, Parishes will adhere to social distancing guidelines, only allowing 50% capacity and requiring all patrons to wear masks. He adds that the Archdiocese will continue to work with health and government officials to ensure the safety of community from COVID-19. And we turn now to news from the CNMI, where Tomas Menglotnya joins us live. Tomas.
Good morning, Bree and Chris. Here's the latest making news in the Northern Marianas on containing COVID. On Sunday, the CNMI governor announced that the U.S. Department of Labor, Employment and Training Administration has approved the CNMI's implementation plan for the PUA and FPUC programs. With the approval of the implementation plan, USDOL also approved an initial disbursement of $70.5 million for both programs in the CNMI. Reporters asked the Governor Torres more questions on those programs at a ceremony yesterday. Take a listen to this clip.
So we got a $70 million approved by PUA, and hopefully by this week and early next week we should have the application and hopefully be able to start having our unemployment receive those fundings.
Yeah, can you tell us how this money will also help the economy?
Well, when you look at all, I mean, even in the United States, there's, I believe, more than 30 million unemployed. Here in the CNMI, we're almost reaching 7,000. These funds would definitely help not just the family, but for sure the economy to have new money come in. As you know, our revenue here is tourism. We don't have that now, but with our federal partners and giving us the revenue that will be rolling in, that is new money that will stimulate the economy here.
For the latest contact information guidance, they're asked to visit CNMI DOL's website at marianaslabor.net. And some major economic news yesterday for the Northern Marianas. The CNMI faces to open churches, dine-in restaurants, and other operations with limitations today. Yesterday afternoon, the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation and the CNMI Governor's COVID-19 Task Force announced that the Northern Marianas will move to Zone Yellow in its economic recovery plan. The loosening of restrictions is informed by a formula and community-based testing. According to the hospital's website, as of today across Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda, more than 4,500 people have been tested through the community-based testing initiative. This means that all businesses can expand hours from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Restaurants can also accommodate dine-in customers on Saipan under the condition that they occupy 25% of their original capacity. Bars remain closed. The curfew is now also extended to the hours of 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. The adjustment on Saipan also allows for in-person church and worship services to resume with a limited attendance of 25% across the Marianas and in accordance with social distancing. Gyms are permitted to open as well with strict guidelines and non-contact activities. Manyagaha Island is also open to the public under strict social distancing. However, all businesses engaged in recreational or amusement type activities and gaming, including the casino, video poker establishments, and e-gaming facilities, remain closed to the public. According to the CNMI Governor's Office, establishments who violate business hours are subject to closure ranging from 1 month up to a year, depending on the number of offenses. Penalties laid out for violating social distancing mandates in these businesses also include immediate closure for up to 30 days or more. And here are the latest numbers from the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation's website as of May 24th. The cumulative number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the Northern Marianas remains at 22. The number of persons released from quarantine is 446. The cumulative number of deaths is 2. The cumulative number of recovered cases remains at 13. And so far in the community-based testing initiative, Saipan has tested 4,284 people. 191 people have been tested on Tinian, and 282 people have been tested on Rhoda. Bring Chris, the governor is expected to host a press conference through KKMP radio at 8 a.m. to address concerns and questions regarding the reopening phase of the CNMI. That's the latest here in the Northern Marianas.
All right, thanks, Tomas. We look forward to your report tonight on Prime Time. In national news, President Trump is marking Memorial Day with not one but 2 different events. The White House is increasing President's public schedule as he pushes for America to reopen. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
The ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery looked different this year as guests paid tribute to the nation's fallen. Dignitaries were asked to remove their masks ahead of the president's arrival. The few in attendance maintained a social distance as he laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. At a ceremony in Baltimore this afternoon, the president included people who have died from the coronavirus during his remarks.
We mourn alongside every single family that has lost loved ones, including the families of our great veterans.
While some urged President Trump not to travel during the pandemic, he's making more trips away from the White House, including 2 golf outings this weekend. Joe Biden's campaign seized on the outing in a new attack ad. President Trump responded on Twitter calling it exercise and said it's his first time golfing in nearly 3 months. The president this morning also threatened to move his party's convention out of North Carolina if that state's Democratic governor doesn't guarantee Republicans will be allowed to attend this August.
We look forward to working with Governor Cooper, getting a swift response, and if needs be, moving the national convention to a state that is farther along on reopening and can say with confidence that we can gather there.
While the president wants Americans on the move again, he's putting in new travel restrictions on Brazil.
We hope that'll be temporary, but because of the situation in Brazil, we're going to take every step necessary to protect the American people.
Brazil currently has the second most coronavirus cases behind the U.S. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The travel restrictions apply to all non-U.S. citizens who have visited Brazil in the 14 days prior to their arrival in the United States. In your Banking 671 report, the Guam Bankers Association is encouraging residents who plan to file for Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, or PUA, to consider opting for direct deposit. To opt in, you are urged to take the following steps. 1. Open a deposit account with your preferred bank. 2. Collect necessary account information. Be prepared to provide your account number and your bank's routing number. And 3. Visit Guam DOL's online portal, hireguam.com, to apply for assistance once they begin to actually accept applications. And finally, the Bank of Guam announces the reopening of its Jigo branch beginning today. Extended hours also start today as well. Hagåtña, Upper Tumon, Anderson, Mangilao, and Jigo branches in Tumon drive-through, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, closed Saturday, 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. Hagåtña branch and drive-through Manumco hours, again, closed on Saturdays. And that is your Banking 671 report, brought to you by the Bank of Guam and Coast 360. Chris.
All right, thank you very much, Sabrina. Very in-depth and thorough look at the day's COVID-19 headlines, and as always, real information, real time here on the Containing COVID Multimedia Broadcast Show. Doctor, we haven't checked in with in a minute, and he's kind of made a serious hobby. I don't even think it's a hobby anymore, of crunching COVID statistics. Let's get Dr. Peter Lombard onto the show this morning. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good. How was your weekend?
Nice. A lot of time with the family. Had a little birthday celebration on Sunday, and we actually worked a little bit yesterday at the clinic, so a little more normal for us, but it was still a little bit slower, so it was good.
Right. So what do you think of this kind of a return to normalcy? I mean, I went around this weekend, and I know it was kind of weird because the governor had put out a little graphic about the beaches are still closed, and they're only open for individual use. But I don't know if all, 2,000 of you guys were at the beach individually, but man, it was packed at the beaches this weekend.
Yeah, there were quite a few just down in front in Agana Bay. Cars, how they pull up on over the sidewalk and pull up close to the beach there. There are a lot of cars down there.
How's that make you feel, Doc?
Well, you kind of look and see what they're doing, and I have a feeling that just being outside in general, the risk is much lower, and I think we if the testing that we're doing is any indication, I really don't think there's a whole lot of cases out there. So it's probably reasonable to consider allowing for more things like that, and I think we're moving in that direction. So it's kind of the hard part is they still have an order in place, and by allowing people to do that, the precedent is you're flagrantly allowing people to break the rules, and so that's the conflict that they have, I think, right now. And the longer they want to maintain too strict of rules, they're going to have to keep dealing with those type of issues.
Right, and then you saw the conversation. I saw it a lot on the social media. Was this weekend was why is Ross open but not the beaches? I mean, and then people were sharing these pictures of the line at Ross.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I mean,
yeah.
Are we just like out the window with the social distancing or what? Because that was nuts.
Well, it was a long line, but I mean, you could see they were wearing their masks.
Right.
They were trying to keep the distance from each other, and I think that's what matters. It's going to be pretty hard for us to have one of these big mass spreading events that can really turn us in the wrong direction, because people just have just a sixth sense about what not to do now. I mean, if you were face to face with somebody and neither of you have a mask on and you're talking to each other for long, you're just going to say something's wrong here. I shouldn't be doing this. So I don't think that that we're going to really be putting ourselves in a situation to have one of these type of events. And the biggest risk is going to be, as many people are saying, when the tourists start coming back. I think that's going to be the biggest risk now. But even then, if people have this sixth sense about what situation is going to be a dangerous one, or even people going back to church, I mean, I think it's a reasonable thing to do, as long as they're keeping their distance and they're wearing their masks. I've seen a few people post, well, if masks work, then why do we have to keep 6 feet? And if 6 feet work, then why do we have to wear masks? And I understand the sentiment there, but neither is 100% effective. If you do both things, you're going to be a little bit closer to 100%. And so it's sort of it's this redundancy thing. You try to do it, you add a few measures together, and you're going to be more effective than doing one of them alone. And just being outside is an extra measure as well too. We know that with being outside, sunlight, the extra airflow, there's much less chance of transmission than if you're in a closed space.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on the decision not to reopen, I guess, dine-in services?
Yeah, that's a tough one. You're sitting down, your mask has to be off to eat. So I think that the decision, it seemed like they were ready to go through with it, but then they didn't, maybe because of those 11 positives.
Right,
and maybe it was just more important for them to make sure that they did at least the right amount of contact tracing to be able to be sure that this wasn't a bigger problem. So, how long does that take them to know? I mean, at this point, since they haven't found anybody yet, it doesn't seem like, anyways, as far as we know, from that 11 cases, it seems like it was just a really isolated incident, and maybe even old cases that were just potentially dead biofragments. We've heard about that too. Maybe they were not even infective anymore. So if that's true, as soon as they are able to figure that out convincingly, maybe they could have gone back to the original plan and say, let's go ahead and just keep moving forward with the plan as we had laid out for the restaurants. It certainly seems reasonable now. I mean, you take a place like Guam right now where we have the virus contained. I think it's reasonable. We need to start doing things a little at a time and showing that we can do it responsibly in order to get us back to where we need to be.
Doc, going back to the height, the peak of the COVID, you were one of these voices who said, hey, it's not going to be as bad as they're saying it's going to be. Standing here this morning, do you feel vindicated at all?
Well, you go back to those early models and you see the crazy numbers that they were predicting, and nobody wanted to believe it. And I had a hard time believing it at the time, but I could see how those models gave the numbers that they did, and I don't know, I have kind of mixed feelings about it. I mean, you definitely don't want to be caught with your pants down and not be prepared for something like that. But I don't know, maybe it was a little bit overblown. But I can't say I disagree with the way we've gone about things. So, even as bad as it was, maybe we could have done things even better. And if we had acted a little bit sooner, perhaps we'd be able to open things up a little bit faster too. That's the other side of it. So maybe because it really scared a lot of people to see those numbers, maybe that's to some degree responsible for why we are where we are today in terms of the containment levels that we're at. So, you know, I think there's plenty of places other in the world where you can look at and say, you know, they were kind of in the same boat we were. They were expecting massive numbers and things just weren't quite as bad. But then you have other places that obviously just are horrendous, and the loss of life, and you know, you look at even Brazil now is looking like a really bad hotspot, and you know what's going on there, and what are the differences? And to some degree, I think some of them are random. You know, you can get one person who just happens to be somebody who just spreads a lot more virus than other people, and they put them in the right setting and the right time in the course of effectiveness, and it can just make a tremendous difference to how, you know, an entire city does. So, yeah, I mean, I'm grateful, obviously. I think we all are grateful that, and we all have to feel extremely lucky being where we are, and that things weren't worse than they were for us.
I wanted to get your thoughts on, you know, the governor's physicians advisory group. They have recommended to the governor to change up and lessen, I guess you could say, a little bit, the mandatory quarantine protocols for returning residents of Guam, those that are coming from CNMI and the U.S. mainland, and they have the required tests that are certified, that they be allowed to home quarantine as opposed to serving their time over at a government quarantine facility. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's kind of strange that it's taking so long. I don't. This recommendation, I think, has been circulating from the Physicians Advisory Group for, it seems like, 2 weeks now or longer. I mean, like a really long time. And as the last I had heard from the Physician Advisory Group, said the governor sort of gave her blessing on it, and it was going to public health for them to sort of figure out how they were going to implement it, and you know, basically give their blessing on it too. So why it's taking so long for them to you know, pass this as the new standard for incoming Guam residents, and that's, you know, that's all they were really looking at. You know, it wasn't Asian travelers, it wasn't you know, U.S. travelers, it was Guam residents. I don't really understand what the holdup is. It definitely makes sense to have the Guam residents be able to you know, quarantine at home and get a test as soon as they can, and then be released from quarantine as soon as they get that test. So I think that, you know, most of the physicians are on board with that idea too.
Yeah, I wonder what it is then.
Yeah, I really don't know. Logistically, I just don't know. I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Dr. Hoa brought it up. You're right. A couple weeks ago, he said that this was something they were going to pitch to the governor, an advisor. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they just feel it's a little too early to lift that, or maybe they don't have the manpower to be following up on everybody. Because if you think about it, I mean, returning residents, that could be 50 to 100 people we're putting out there in the community. But, you know, I just got another message about why aren't we testing people when they land at the airport?
Yeah.
Or, you know, so.
Yeah, I think if they're able to get this Roche machine they've been talking about, that might be something that's possible, or at least test them and they can quickly get the swabs down to be run. But it's just it's the capacity, I think, more than anything else, that they can't do the testing. That's the way I understand it, anyways. You know, you've got to be able to use the PCR testing, and even with the ones that they have here, I just don't think it's logistically possible for them to test everybody quickly at the airport. I think that's the limitation right now with the existing equipment that they have.
What do you think about public health's expanded testing and the groups that they're targeting in terms of like the homeless population and the people that are in these non-congregate or congregate apartment complexes, people that don't have access to health care, as opposed to, you know, people arriving into Guam? Do you think we're targeting the right groups of people?
Well, yeah, if you've got the capability, well, you know, I don't think we have a whole lot of people coming in, but you know, I definitely agree with continuing to do community testing. I think, you know, the value in finding a single positive is huge, you know. So I think that since we have, rather than have the testing sit idle if we have them, as long as we have the manpower to continue to try to search for these little pockets and see if we can find any. And if we can, then it's great, and it's valuable information too. To say, hey, we got this thing contained even better than we thought. But when it comes to if we're getting zeros for a couple weeks, and then we got more flights coming in, and they're not diverting some of those resources towards the airports and travelers, then you're going to scratch your head and say, well, we know where the threat is now. It's more with the incoming travelers, so why don't we push our resources in that direction? Hopefully that's something that they would do, and hopefully by that time we've got even more equipment and testing capabilities to be able to maybe even do both.
What about the second wave, Doc? Earlier in our conversation, we both talked about the kind of doomsday projection that they put out.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of holding this second wave over our head. That being said, if people didn't really, well, now they don't really take the first projection seriously. How seriously are they going to take it? Is it going to be a case of the sky is falling again, or?
I'm not sure what they're going to do or say. When you saw those 11 cases, I think everybody was thinking, "Oh man, that looks like the first week back in. We had cases in March. Is the same curve going to come back again?" And I've been sort of down on the second wave for Guam, anyways. And I think even for most places, I just don't think it's going to happen. Again, people are just they act and behave differently around each other now, and they will for a long time until the vaccine comes out. And if that was sort of worst case scenario, nobody knew the virus was going around at the time. Nobody was social distancing, and look what happened to the Guam curve. And if that's worst case scenario, because by the time the numbers started going up, we did start and we did change. So at this point, if you start to see a few more cases in the community, we can't do any worse than we did before. And yeah, that would be, I think you could consider that a second wave, but I think it would be a stretch to think our numbers would even be close to what they were before. I think more likely, if anything, just little ripples here and there rather than a big wave, and we'll have little clusters probably related to travelers coming in. But I just don't. It doesn't seem very likely to me we're going to have a massive wave.
Nice. Well, I hope you're right. Definitely. Thanks, Doc, for your time. Anything in closing you want to add here? What are you seeing with the numbers? Because we brought you on. We know that you're, some would say, a little obsessed with crunching the COVID stats, but I mean, what are you seeing? It's kind of obvious. Zero positives all the time, right?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think we've got this contained fairly well. There may be some pockets out there still, some asymptomatic people that are still spreading it without us knowing it, and that's why the community testing, I think, is still going to be pretty important. But I'm very happy with how things look, and hopefully we can keep this trend going.
Maybe if you could just leave us with the importance and message about preventative care and why that's important.
Just getting people back to their doctors and getting their care done. I've been reading all kinds of stuff about kids aren't getting vaccinated because the parents are scared to go to the clinics, and I've had lots of patients who stop their medicines because they've run out, their prescriptions have run out, and they've been afraid to come to our clinic. So please go back and see your doctors, get your prescriptions refilled. What we don't want to see is excess deaths, excess illness and mortality, just because people aren't getting their routine medical issues taken care of.
All right, thanks
good point.
a lot.
Thanks, Doc.
Is it your birthday, by the way? Was it your birthday?
It was. Yeah.
Okay. Happy belated birthday.
Thanks so much.
All right, Doc.
Take care.
All right, 6:51. Dr. Peter Lombard, of course. Love getting him on to get his perspective on things. Remember, he was, like we said, Bree, one of the early voices saying, hey, wait a minute, this is kind of a bit much with his projection. 6:51. Let's keep it going on the phones here and go over to the Vice President of the Mayor's Council of Guam, Sinanya Sin City, in the house.
Hoffman, good morning.
Good morning. Mayor Hoffman.
Yes.
Just your take, Memorial Day weekend, were people adhering to the wear the mask and the social distancing, just in your observation going around?
Not that I saw, and that's really unfortunate. I think that most of my mayors are having challenges with public parks and we're actually even seeing a lot of littering and trashing, and it's just, I mean, I'll send you pictures later on, but yeah, it's heartbreaking to see that. And I know people are anxious to get out and about, but at the same time, despite the number of trash cans that are available and the signs posted, we're still facing that issue as well. And it's hard to get the workers to go out there and kind of just keep doing this constantly, because otherwise the trash will either fly into the ocean or into the road.
Yeah, the beach down the road from my house, man, it's been so clean for COVID. Now that people are starting to get back to their old ways, your dirty habits, leaving trash, man, it just bummed me out. And there was a moment, and I had to kick myself where I thought, God, I missed COVID, because when we were in the COVID, nobody was doing this stuff.
Yep, and people are leaving, and then things we're finding gloves and masks, and people are just disposing it anywhere and everywhere they can. And so, it's risky for our employees, it's risky for the people who try to help out, and so now it's just us surrounding of volunteers here and there. And even Tuman especially is experiencing a high amount of people leaving litter and everything behind, and we're just dumbfounded at why. I mean, we don't understand.
Mm-hmm. And is the responsibility of cleaning these parks, is it still Parks and Recs?
It's various agencies, depending what park is under who. But most of the mayors step in because, it's embarrassing. It's in your village, so you kind of want to play a role and to step in. But it's just, like the Maritzo mayor's having such a difficult time. The Muning mayor's having such a difficult time. So, and it's not just beaches. I mean, these are just regular parks that people either go to exercise or, spend the time. It's nice to see people out and about more. I see more people biking. We see more people exercising, but now it's just become a little bit too crowded in some of the areas. And I think, we got to find a way to social distance, because Aston Park is usually very busy it wasn't as much, but now it's just like really overloaded with people exercising that you really can't really safe social distance there as much anymore.
Right. Mayor, so who do we call on the enforcement end? Because, man, my phone was blowing up this weekend. People were telling me, there's a gathering here. There's and we're popping these pictures up now. I know it's not your village, and we're going to get Mayor Louise on, but over in the Jimmy D's area, I don't know if this is a Parks and Rec thing or if it's a subcontract to a private company, but, man, just the trash from over the weekend,
Yes,
crazy.
And so we're going to be looking at that. That's something we're going to be talking about, and I know the Mayor's Council, we're trying to find a safe way to start having our meetings again. So we're probably going to hold it. I think they're looking to hold it the first one at my office in our community center, or senior center, since it's large enough to safely, socially distance everybody in one person per folding table and spaced out correctly. I think it's going to be the first time we're actually going to get to meet in person since early March. So, and there's going to be a lot of issues brought up. One of the things on our radar is the recycling revolving fund and ramping up. Usually it's a summertime program. We're trying to front load it now as quickly as possible so we can get while people are home, and not necessarily that being jobless is a good thing or anything, but it gives them an opportunity to know what they can. And so we're hoping to get those contracts in place in the next 2 weeks.
Have you guys had any briefings from the front office on anything they're doing?
No, we got our information just from the Joint Information Center, and we just been fielding calls, fielding requests up through the general chats and stuff. So when we did have that spike of people, that did raise concern with a lot of my colleagues and trying to find out more information. And I was just actually reading some news this morning. Apparently the sharing of information is a problem nationwide, because even in states they're debating it. Some people even went to court for disclosing some of these things, and some of the states were easily disclosing the information. So we're trying to figure out why HIPAA and what's all this other stuff about cannot say. So I think New York was the best example. They were able to show county and area, and it helped people fight and take precautions. So I think, and then some of the other states, they were just bad about releasing information and the disclosure. So I guess.
So where do you think we're at, Mayor? Like maybe in the middle somewhere, or?
Well, I don't know if you saw the last release. They actually had a Google Docs attached to the release, but actually showed the breakdown village. It actually gave a lot more information than normally released. So it was kind of a good roadmap. It's a start. Better late than never, but noticed that there was an actual attachment to the Google Docs on that JIC release. So you might want to take a look at that. And, it's, although we know that these are the existing cases, a lot, there's testing is an issue. We're out. That was one of the things we were trying to do is get the homeless to get tested, those that at risk. So that's going to be our efforts this week, and was our efforts last week.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of homeless, have you heard, is there anything new?
No, there is nothing new. I wish we could report something new. We're just trying to find our way in the dark. Also on this, we did actually come across a few more families that are homeless, which is sad. Some people living in their cars, parked at areas, and some of them with teenagers and stuff like that. And we were trying to figure out how they got evicted in the middle of this, when evictions are not supposed to be allowed. But I guess they're staying with family members also who also fell on hard times, who can no longer afford to kind of have them in the household. So we were trying our best to get services to them over the weekend, and unfortunately the government's kind of closed. So hopefully today we'll get some social workers out there to do some outreach.
Wow. What about the issue of double pay? I know that the Mayor's Council of Guam, they wrote a letter to the legislature, I think it was last week. Did you guys get any feedback other than Senator Jocelyn Augustine's bill?
We know everyone's kind of looking at it in a way. We understand there's a lot of people in front of us on this, the doctors, the nurses, the people who had to do the emergency medical personnel that had to do the transport, and a lot of the workers at GMH who are not just the medical staff, but all the support staff there as well. So we're kind of in a long line and list of people. So if it happens, it happens, and we just wanted to make sure that we fought for our workers and our employees, and because no matter what is with pandemic, a typhoon, you name it, we're out there no matter what on it. So we're just trying to see what's fair and equitable for everyone. So we're joining the cause. I don't think we've joined the lawsuit yet or anything, but we did raise our voices on it. So we'll wait to see what the Senate does.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to get out?
How about in the village, Mayor? What you got going on in the village?
Here we actually had a quick phone meeting with Department of Labor. I don't know if you know, we launched our little help desk at our office. We set up workstations. So this week we should be meeting with some of the people from Labor to train us how to use the information and the computers, so we can actually help with intake and help with processing. Sinahanya residents only, unfortunately, because that's what I'm geared to do and to handle. But they're also looking for other places to host these kind of help desks, and unfortunately some of my colleagues, they either lack space or personnel, and it's a true fact on it. And Dedado is overwhelmed. They're more than, we've said that Labor is more than welcome to use the Estumbo gym for processing, but however, she only can lend you the gym. She can't lend staff because they're busy processing verifications and all the other support documents that are needed. And we're still handling the Manamco centers and the adult daycare centers. So that's something that kind of consumes a lot of our time in 12 of the villages. So we're hoping Labor was able to kind of find some more temporary personnel, or have the government reassign some personnel to some of these areas and set up some computer stations. But we're looking forward to learning about the PUA program this week and the FPOC program this week. And once we know, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right, Mayor.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for giving us the opportunity. And as we get information, we'll gladly let you know.
Sure.
I know everyone's looking forward to the recycling, because that's one of our biggest.
Are you seeing this on the comments then? Some people are saying, hey, with the trash at the beaches, let's get some recycle bins out there separate, because a lot of people are already used to separating the trash, and there's been issues with the pickup during the COVID, so that is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, right now solid waste still isn't picking up the recycling bins at the residential areas that people pay for, and so it's hard to kind of ask people to keep doing this. And I understand their frustration that people are just, and I think that's the thing that we're going to probably see. People are going to stop paying some bills, and some of the bills they're going to stop paying are the solid waste bills, because that's something they'd rather keep the lights on and the power on. So we're going to probably experience this in a few more weeks.
Yeah, I don't know if there are people out there who think that everyone's okay now, but Mayor, I got to say, people are still really struggling. I know that the stimulus has been a little shot in the arm, but for a lot of people, that was too little, too late.
Yep, and the food lines are a testament to that. The fact that many people avail themselves to the commodities and what's being unveiled. What's going to be organized there in Tizen. We did get a request from GDOE for support for canopies and for logistical support for chairs and tables, stuff like that. So I know that they were looking to the mayors that are actually in those villages to kind of help shore up those operations there. So that's something we're looking at. We're just concerned about the traffic patterns that were released, and we hope that maybe it can be kind of further reviewed and done, because Tizen is very hard to get in and out. It was hard to get in and out during the carnival, and I can imagine getting in and out just for food distribution lists.
Too many turns in there. It's too many turns.
Yes. So, I'm glad GPD is going to kind of step up and step in to help with traffic. But those are some of the things we're going to be working on this week.
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay,
Take care.
Okay.
Yes,
Hey, let's keep wash your hands. Let's keep it with mayors here, and we'll go now to Tamuning Mayor Luis Rivera, who's on the line. Morning, Mayor. Mayor.
Good morning.
Oh, there you are. Hi, good morning, Mayor. 703. We're KUMFM. I got Guam. Mayor, we wanted to bring you on because you have really been one of the loudest voices in support of the homeless. And partly because your village has a high homeless count, and mostly because you're a good person. So we wanted to bring you on and talk about the testing. I know that there's testing going on in your neck of the jungle, right?
Yes, it will be happening this morning at the Tumaning Gym and Pavilion areas around our mayor's office. So if you know of anybody, we're asking people that know of other homeless individuals out and about to let them know that we're offering that today. I know that there has been issues with transportation because of homeless individuals being around Ocopeles, around the doctor's clinic, around the Dunca Beach area. I did talk to Governor's office personnel and public health, and they did mention to me that the nurses would be able to go out there to them. I know that they're having it at Tumaning Gym, for those who can walk over that are around that area. But, if you know of any others that are out and about, they're, sleeping in jungles around the village or, different areas, different parts of Guam, they can just let us know if they're unable to have transportation. Then, we can let the nurses know so that they can go there to them.
Mm-hmm. I know one big hotspot is over there in Tumon, that garage, abandoned parking garage. Have your people gone out there, or are you public health planning to head over there and do testing?
I know that the Homeless Coalition has been going out, giving out the flyers. They also have another testing going on down at the EPAO
Pavilion, that's right.
Yeah, Pavilion on Thursday. So then they're also reaching out to the homeless in the Agana area at Paseo. That will be tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how this goes today, and see, how we need to really reach out to, those individuals that that cannot get transportation or are unable to walk there to these sites.
What's the feeling, though, Mayor? Because I know you talk to a lot of the homeless. Are they wanting to come out and get tested? Is there a little bit of fear involved? What are they saying?
They're still asking when are they going to have a place to go to. Even now with trying to get them the assistance to make sure they apply, helping them get applications, things like that. It's so nice to hear that, these homeless individuals, they say that they tell me that, my brother's coming to take me to go and apply, and I'm wondering, how come they're not coming to help house you, or stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of special circumstances that go on, so that's how they end up being homeless out in the street. But I also know that there's a lot hanging out there, making themselves visible to people, wanting to take advantage of goodness, people with good hearts, they're looking for handouts, and then they think that they're going to get assistance faster just being out there, sitting in the public's eye. They feel that they're going to be helped, and
on the intersections,
waiting for a place.
Are you talking about at the intersections, Mayor?
Yes, at the intersections. I mean, because, there's those that really, they're embarrassed, they're homeless, they're in a bad situation, so they go and they squat in abandoned buildings, just trying to survive. And, they'll reach out to me, and I'm really glad when they do. When they tell me they're embarrassed, but they need help, and that's all I've been pleading for was a place for them, because when it comes time to get water, or how they go to take a shower in the morning, and then when they turned off the water at Matapeng and Ipao Beach, I mean, it was just heartbreaking. Because now where are they going to go to get water? And, so a lot has been coming over to the mayor's office to fill up their buckets and their containers, to get water to take care of their hygiene. But, I
still don't know why they would shut off the water. It just seems so cold-hearted. It reminds me of the States. When you go to the States, there's all these little locks on those, so nobody can get anybody's water. Die of thirst, you animals. Kind of seems like weird. That people are homeless out here. That they shower there. Like, why would you shut off the water? I don't get it.
Right. So, we've been seeing, people using our hoses and our faucets around the compound, to take a shower.
There should be, GWA should be having water buffaloes out here or something. I mean, if we're going to shut off the water. Sorry, Mayor, I'm just on this shutting off the water thing. It's annoying.
I hear ya.
So anything, you heard anything from Adelup on the hardened homeless shelter?
Nothing at all.
What else is new? That should just be the update every day for the homeless. Nothing, no update. Yep. Hang in there. Come get tested, though. It's free. Mayor, can we just switch gears? I want to go back to the homeless, but we had got some pictures from over there at Jimmy D's beach area. We're not singling you out because I actually got more pictures because my people are so damn knuckleheaded. Laniet, they give you guys an inch. What do? You're out there throwing trash. Dale. So over here at Jimmy D's, is that a DPR thing, or is that, because I heard it was a private contractor who's supposed to be picking up the trash there?
Right. Well, GDB was the one that had contractors, cleaning and combing the beaches.
Right.
Although they're private properties, Jimmy D, and then different areas, but
was it LMS, Mayor?
I believe so.
Okay.
That was the last contractor I've known of that was taking care of that place. And I'm really happy to say that LMS has hired several of our homeless people, to get out there and they provided them a job, gave them a job to help clean up. But we're still seeing a lot of places not being taken care of, and then the continuing of illegal dumping. It's really sad, because a lot of these private properties, they have to abide by the law and give access for people to access the beach.
Right.
And so I've been getting calls and complaints. How come they won't let us drive down there, and things like that. Drive down to the beach. But the access is only, by foot. as long as they give access. It doesn't say they have to allow for drive-through.
Right.
Allow people to drive in to unload trash and other stuff. So
Mayor, my phone was blowing up Saturday night. People were telling me that there was a huge gathering at Jimmy D's. Did you hear anything about this? Because I know you know your village, and there were people who live in the condos next door. They kept messaging me saying, "Hey, are you guys going to report on this huge gathering at Jimmy D's?" I mean, and I heard it was military, but I had sent a message over to Linda from Public Health. I didn't get a response. I don't know if there was any follow-up, but what did you hear about this huge gathering at Jimmy D's Saturday night?
well, not in particular to that one gathering, but I've been getting informed of a lot of gatherings daily. A lot of people going out there to exercise and then also to catch manihawk.
Right, yeah.
A lot of things like that. I did have a meeting with our commander of the Tumaning Precinct. I met with Captain Kim Fontes and our commander, Lieutenant Jason Uggan, and Sergeant Sablan. We did talk about those issues. It's happening all over the place. A lot of people are out there to exercise and enjoy the sun. That's fine as long as they practice social distancing. And please do not litter. Do not leave your trash behind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's clear if you look at these trash cans, there was some kind of gathering going on over the weekend.
Right. Well, I did ask GPD about what you had heard over at Jimmy D's, and the response I got from Officer Paul Tapau was that there was a gathering of 7 to 10 people on the beach fronting the condo next to Jimmy D's. They built a large fire, were consuming alcohol and playing their music extremely loud. TTPC units responded, that's Tumaning Precinct, responded to have them removed and the fire extinguished.
Yeah, so a lot of people think that, it's okay, when they say you can go out and exercise, that means they feel that...
They're doing them 12-ounce curls, right? The 12-ounce curls. It's an old joke, Mayor. The beer can's 12 ounces, and they curl it when you... Anyway, you must not be a drinker. That's good. Don't start.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah, they said for individual exercise, not for a party.
Right.
Not for a bonfire.
Yeah, so we're hoping that these people will, adhere to all the rules and continue to do the social distancing and, stay safe, wear your mask. The lines too at Ross and, going to the mall, Home Depot, Payless, cost you less. It's just as bad. And so, I'm really happy, when the staff come out and start to, to let the people know that they need a social distance, things like that. I mean, it's going to be ongoing, and, we want it all to stop. We want to be able to live a normal life again. We can't have that if, people won't listen and they continue to do those stuff. Especially on Guam, we love to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, functions. There's so many events. People already want to book our community center for parties again.
Wow. What are you saying? How soon are they trying to book it, Mayor?
Oh, especially because it's graduation time. Now they're having the grab and go, and we explained to them that's why they're having grab and go, because we cannot, celebrate it normally.
Right.
And then they want to have a party in the center. It's like you don't want to be the cause that that makes people sick, or people, they'll say that the cluster came from a graduation party at the community center.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that to happen, so we're not accepting any bookings at this time.
Mayor, we've been playing these pictures of over there at the Jimmy D's area, so maybe you can give LMS a call to But there were also pictures we got from Molesso, the pier. Molesso Mayor Ernest Chargaloff. So, man, you guys, I'm embarrassed of my people because it looks like all you did this weekend was make a lot of trash for everybody to pick up.
Yeah, that's the really sad part. Is, we're so busy distributing food and taking care of verifications for people to get assistance financially and, to help those trying to get a job because they lost it during this pandemic crisis. And then there's those that still, dump illegally. They have no shame. It's really sad.
I'm so embarrassed of my people.
We need to get the Jigo mayor on
Yeah,
about
we need
the
to get
illegal dumping problem. Oh, man.
Yep. I mean, unfortunately, return to normal means we do our normal illegal dumping and littering our beautiful island.
Oh, man.
And, you hear the mayors, I mean, they're trying to feed people with a grab and go. They're trying to help people with these verifications. And you guys can't even pick up after yourselves. Now these mayors and their staff got to go pick up your mess because you don't know how to clean your area. Clean your area, people.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
Mayor.
On another note,
Yes.
to let you know that we have been part of the USDA grant on the giving out food.
Nice.
And so we've been working with Pacific Unlimited and Matson, to get food delivered over to our community center. And of course, they're reaching out to all the mayors. So all the different mayors are supposed to be getting food out. They'll be receiving food to help pass out to the community. So again, there's going to be certain times that we can do that because on top of that, we're still giving out the senior citizens meals from our community center. So, we just want to let the public know that, if there's anybody in need, to please contact the mayor's office and let us know, if you're having transportation problems or issues, please let us know so we can find ways to get the food out to them as well.
All right, Mayor.
All right, thanks, Mayor.
Sorry our people are litter bugs.
Okay, take care.
Take care.
Hagamas, Mayor. Wash your hands.
Okay, we'll do.
All right. 719. Hey, so we did have a request for a labor update. I'm going to get Dave Della Sola on the phone real quick, Bree.
Okay.
All right. And so you know what to do. Jason, good morning.
Okay. Happening. Good morning, everybody. Man, really jam-packed show so far, you guys. Okay, we did have one more comment. Speaking of little side chats that our comment stream is having, somebody got a haircut.
Yeah, I did.
That's very lovely, and at
Thank
least
you.
3 or 4 commenters were saying like, nice job, nice do. And of course, you were safe when you did it. How did you feel when you actually went out to the salon and actually got that? Were you nervous, and what was the condition?
Yeah, I was a little nervous because I took my son with me and he needed a haircut really bad.
Your son had the fro going. I saw that.
Yeah, his hair's super curly.
Her son is a TikTok phenom.
So yeah, I'm not gonna let fear, run my life.
That's
so.
right. But still, they were very, very safe there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody had their masks on. The place is super clean. I've been going there for a while now, and what can you do?
Right.
I needed a haircut.
Okay, well, while I've got my 2 seconds here, I did want to add, we did throw up Dr. Peter Lombard's Twitter handle at the end of his interview, and we did want to say follow him at Peter Lombard on Twitter, because if you are into the whole, what he's doing with crunching the numbers and taking a look at the data, and it's not just Guam, he's actually evaluating a lot of the stuff that's coming out from the States. He was talking about Brazil and everything. He's really taking a holistic approach to kind of evaluating all this, because then he says, okay, now I can kind of have a relative perspective of what's going on in Guam, and his stuff is gold. On
Right.
Twitter, he's really, really good, and he's retweeting people, he's offering his own analysis and everything like that. So if you're a data geek like me and everything like that, follow at Peter Lombard. Really good stuff.
Okay. Thank you, Jake. A lot of people clamoring for a labor update, so let's get Labor Director Dave Della Sola onto the show here. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
How are you guys today?
Doing
Right.
pretty good.
That's good.
So how close are we? I know you. I was reading that release over the weekend about the delay with the feds depositing the first installment of the $276 million. So now you guys have it in your accounts. And of course, the big question everybody wants to know is, when are we going to start being able to apply?
That's a very good question, Sabrina.
I think it's the only question anybody wants to know.
We worked this weekend taking a real close look, vetting out all the issues for our last cleanup of the program to make sure that it is tweaked and ready as much as it can be for prime time. Hopefully tomorrow we're going to get and give them the list. We're just trying to go through and put in as many dummy claims and writing down all the problems, features that may not be working correctly, or things that could make the user experience better. So we're on that final stage, the last list, that at least before going live. And I want to get this thing live before the end of this month, and maybe sooner, depending on what the programmers will say as far as the laundry list that we have. Every time they do, we give them a list, they put it in, we go through it again. And as with any software, you just constantly, as new features get turned on, we keep vetting it and trying to make it perfect. It's not going to be the best. It's not going to be. Time is so short, and this unemployment insurance program is so big and complicated, and we're trying to whittle it down to make it simplified for the users here on Guam. It's not going to be anything that they've seen before, so they're probably going to need some guidance and help, and that's why we're really going to start training the employers that are out there that have reached out. There's employers that are asking for us to go through it so that they can assist their employees. We're going to have some places that are going to assist their people applying. I hope that when somebody sits down and does an application and successful, that they in turn, once you do it the first time, you'll get the pretty good hang of it. And I think you can then reach out and get other people to apply and start helping them. So it'll kind of snowball out like that.
Dave, is the problem on our end, our local agency just can't seem to get it together, or is it the federal government holding up this process? Because I got to tell you, people have been waiting for a while on, how are we going to do this online application? And we seem to be hearing the same thing for the past couple of weeks. And just another thing, when you say at the end of the month, we are talking about the end of this week, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm trying to get it out by the end of this week.
Yeah, obviously you feel people are very frustrated, Dave.
I feel them. I'm very frustrated. It's just this program will take a claim and not only take the claim but adjudicate it, and then once you go back and you put in all your weekly claims from when the date that you're affected, it'll calculate every week the amount that you are due, whether you're reduced hours or not, and it'll package it and come up with a total dollar amount, and it'll make sure if there's any problems or with the application that it flags it up for us to take a second look at it. I mean, this isn't a little program that you just fill out a form and submit it. This is a huge, powerful, complicated program, and it's just nothing I've seen before. If you've ever been in the U.S. and you've applied for unemployment insurance, you get a taste of what it's like. And I'm trying to make it as adequate as possible, because it is, I could sit here and keep going back and forth and tweaking it for months, and I just don't have that time. So I'm trying to find that balance, because I know you're frustrated. I'm frustrated. The island needs it. But, the money that's going to be going out with this is tremendous. These first checks are going to be $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. And we're going to be handing out almost $1 billion. And I know I'm not, I need to get this thing as right as possible so that USDOL will keep giving us the funding and see that the program is working well, and with all the things that they're putting in. I remember I talked to you last that between the save and all that other stuff I have to put in. It's not going to be all in there yet. I had to make a decision to say, okay, let's get the application part vetted. Let's concentrate on that. Let's get that running as well as possible. Let's get that part so that it can produce all the reports. It can do all the calculations. It can come up with dollar sums, and it'll handle the claimants. And then by that time we start putting in all the apps, we could work out the other parts that are waiting for, as far as the accounts and the things that are not in my control. Right. So that way it doesn't hold it up.
I know that the CNMI governor had just said earlier in our news that they got $70 million and their applications rolling out this week.
Well, they're supposed to be using our software.
Oh.
And they're sitting back waiting for me to finish it up before they can get a hold of it.
Hey, Dave, let me ask you something, because I had over the weekend, specifically, and I'll get a hold of Ty later, but with census workers, right? So census workers are telling me that they haven't been paid since the beginning of the month, but when they looked at
they would qualify.
The higher Guam or whatever it is where the employer's supposed to register, they said the census hasn't registered. So in the event like that where you have workers who haven't been paid, obviously because of COVID-19, but the employer doesn't file, where does that leave the worker?
They just file, and then they self-certify, and that's something that's very easy to check.
Okay.
I can get a list or something like that. So anybody that's out there, if you don't get those letters, if you don't have everything that you need that's on that checklist, those are things that if you can get as many as possible, make for a cleaner application. But if you don't have those things, you're going to self-certify that under federal fraud and perjury and all that stuff, that everything is true and correct. And that won't hold up your application. It just, the more stuff that are in there, the cleaner and the easier it is to audit and make sure that everything is correct. But I'm not going to hold up anybody's application because of things that are beyond their control.
Right. Good call.
Those are the mechanisms that I'm trying to get, because, Chris, believe it or not, I do want to get this money out there as quickly as possible. Right. When you got this responsibility of this much money, you have to take it seriously and make sure that it's done properly. I'm still scared when this goes out with the complicated form that's going to go out. It takes about 40 minutes to put in an application, and I hope that it's going to go smoothly and everything's going to go well, and we're going to start seeing those numbers cranking out. I do want to make sure that you make a call out, and if you can make sure everybody, they got to get bank accounts. Right. It's just a smarter way to go. You can't I can't have thousands of people walking around with $8,000 checks. You're not going to be able to cash them. There just isn't that much cash on this island. So go out there, get your bank account, get the electronic funds transfer. That'll be the fastest way to get the money, and it's really the way you get. Banks and everybody aren't going to be able to cash everybody's checks, and you're going to be required to get a bank account because. And I don't want people going home with that much cash. It's just not safe.
So Dave, just to clarify what you're saying here, are people going to be required to get bank accounts to get their unemployment?
No, you can get a check. Okay. It'll be cut, and then it'll be mailed to you.
Yeah. All right.
Some people like to have that paper check in their hand.
I'm one of those
not
people.
A problem.
Hey, Dave, just going back to, oh, God, did I just forget what I was going to say? You said $8,000, $9,000 checks, so obviously these are going to be backdated, right?
Yep, retro to the date that you were affected. And that's why I really need to make sure that the system is working well. And I try to get it as close as possible, because now I can't push, I don't want to push it anymore. I want to get this out before the end of this month. I need to get this going and start the application process. I just am working with this complicated program to get it as clean as possible. I appreciate everybody's patience. I know it's not, everybody's hurting, and believe me, with the amount of money that's going to be going out for as long as it's going to go out, I just need it to run as adequately as possible so that everybody can get those checks in hand and start getting them on a regular basis.
Okay. Just for
I'm
clarity,
going to be training. Go ahead.
just for clarity, you are anticipating the start of the online application process for next week.
No, I want it this week, by the end of this month.
Right, which is Sunday.
Yeah, somewhere between there. Tomorrow or the next day, like I say, I'm going to tell the programmers, fix on this list as much as you can to go live. When can we go live, and when can we, out of this list, we can just push it as it goes live. They can continuously tweak it, because it's going to happen. When people start using it, they're going to start saying, well, this isn't working right because you got so many users, and we can fix these things on the fly. Mm-hmm. Any issues that come out when you're getting, tens of thousands of people starting to put in claims and something is glitching, they're standing by 24/7, they said, and to remedy any of these issues that come up as users are going online. So I'm going to start training by the end of this week a lot of the businesses and hotels to start standing, so because they want to stand up facilities for their employees, and that'll be a big help. And I hope that everything just goes well at the end of this week. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm working every day to get this right, and I appreciate your guys' understanding that as things, this is a complicated program, and every time you just keep tweaking it, you just keep wanting to make it better. And I'm going to get it out by the end of this week, and we look forward to getting the money out to everybody.
Us too. Hope next time we talk to you, you got some checks.
I hope that I can start getting applications in, and people are starting to feel better about that.
Once, I did want to just ask about, once you apply online, what's the turnaround time to vet that application and for the check to be cut?
Well, the regular standard time is 21 days. I hope to do that better. There's still the cutting the check part that needs to be finished in the program, but that doesn't take long. It's just a matter of the procurement being finished.
Right, and the governor's getting you the extra bodies you need, right, Dave? I heard that there's a lot of transfers over to you.
Yes, I do have the bodies. I could use more, but the hard part is I don't, with this quarantine, I can't, I don't have the facilities for everybody, so I have to bring them in batches. So it's really tough trying to mobilize teams of people when you got to keep the quarantine distancing and keeping everybody safe.
Right.
That's just puts such a tough element in the organizing this whole program.
Just so, did I hear that correctly? That if I apply, say it opens tomorrow, and I go online and I apply, it could take 3 weeks to a month before I actually receive a check.
I don't
you said
know.
21
I can't
days?
give you a time. That's the standard by the regs. It says 21 days once you accept the claim. I of course want to try to get it faster.
Right.
But until I start getting claims, I start batching them up, and I start moving them forward.
Then you'll know.
And hopefully everything. Then I know. I don't know how this application process. Everything is such huge numbers. Yeah. So yes,
we got a comment.
Say 21 and then do better.
Right. Hawaii processed, Dave, for error-free applications a week and a half.
Say that again.
This is just from a viewer. Hawaii's process for error-free applications, a week and a half. 21 days is not acceptable.
21 days is the standard. Don't forget, Hawaii already has a UI system in place. They already have all these mechanisms. I'm starting it up. You know, you can go to any state and say, how long did it take you to put up a UI program? I'll stand behind my saying, nobody is going to be able to do it in less than a year, let alone in 2 months. So you got to compare apples and apples. Somebody that has a full boat UI process, checks everything going out, and all they're doing is adding a thing with,
Correct.
You can't say that. I don't have to get the save. All those things that I'm coming required, they already have in place.
Got it.
You know.
Mm-hmm. You know, I gotta ask this, Dave, because it still kind of bothers me that you know, we talk about how hard you've been working, and I get that, and you know, I believe you. But
I know.
You know, you have a deputy director who seems to be able-bodied and who could have helped you, but he was also kicking it at the Packstar working. So if he had been there right with you, helping you, could we have seen a little bit more progress at this point?
Honestly,
I mean,
no,
you would think we picked him up because he's got all this experience, but he's over there doing quarantine work, supposedly, allegedly, and getting paid 15% differential.
As soon as I needed him, I pulled him to run the department. When we were under quarantine, we were working with a small pool of people, just trying to get the pieces in place for the program. As soon as the pieces started putting together, I pulled him and he started running the department and taking care of standing up all the staff and getting everything running. So I just been concentrating on the PUA side of this whole program.
Oh, way to go to bat for your deputy, Dave.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Chris.
Okay. Hey, we'll let you get back to work, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all you've been doing.
I just want to. You're welcome, and I appreciate your guys' patience. I do want to tell you that we have today 1,063 employees that have registered on the module, and we are over 20,214 separation notices put in. So that's doing fairly well. It can always be better, but over 20,000, that's pretty good. And remember, these are just employees, not self-employed. So if you add in all those self-employed people, the numbers would be a lot higher. So I still keep pushing them out there to register and enter those people, but we have over 20,000 now that have separate notices that are in the system. And remember, when you apply as a claimant, it will talk. Those employees that are put in there will help just adjudicate the claims that much faster.
Right.
You don't need to have it, but it just makes it quicker and cleaner.
Dave, for applicants with bank accounts, when the application comes out, would that bank account information be on the application?
You enter it in. Yeah.
Okay.
The standard routing and ABA numbers and account that you put in. You just enter that right in, and then from then on, every time you do a weekly claim, and you put in what you made for the week or didn't make for the week, and verify that you're still willing and able to work and that you are looking for work, then the system will automatically calculate and if everything's clean, push that to the payment side for a file, and then that would take that file over to DOA, and then they will start processing that.
Got it. Thank you, Dave, man. We'll let you get back to work. Wash your hands and keep us posted.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I
Dave.
appreciate everything that you guys do.
Of course.
We appreciate you too. Thanks.
Okay. Sabrina.
What?
No, I mean, yeah, but yeah, the deputy director was over there delivering towels to people's rooms at the Pacific Star.
I mean, this is so
Dave,
important.
Dave
to
is
people.
obviously in way over his head. I mean,
No, he's been the Department of Labor director in the past.
But this is a huge. It's huge. It's so
Yeah.
huge. You know what I mean? When he talks about it, it's frustrating because it kind of feels like he's been saying the same thing for a few weeks, and that's probably because he has been.
Mm-hmm.
He's been real careful to not give a timeline.
You know, there's an oversight hearing on Monday. That's
Right.
why it's interesting that let's get this out ASAP.
Right. Yeah. So.
But just I make sure everybody knows he was talking about going to the bank. Make sure you get direct deposit because it's going to help speed up the process.
Right.
And that's something that the Guam Bankers Association is also recommending, that you do establish a direct deposit, have a bank account, so that you can get this money a lot faster. But even still, he was mentioning that once you apply, there's this 21-day standard time.
God, donuts.
So. Yeah, I could say that.
I mean, but Dave, obviously he doesn't want to make you guys wait another 21 days.
Yeah,
so
he
I
doesn't.
mean, that's nuts. It's nuts. That means July. I mean, people are going to be back at work by the time they get this unemployment. They're already going back to work. But again, we didn't have the unemployment insurance. I don't know who to blame for that. We didn't have that, so they're basically reinventing the wheel from the ground up.
Okay, good, really smart of you, Chris, to actually shine the light on that one comment that came out. People saying, Hawaii has been paying unemployment insurance for years, as has the mainland. Obviously, people now starting to say, once this pandemic, is through all the phases that it's going to have to go through and everything, does this mean we'll have permanent unemployment insurance on Guam? And are they considering having this as a main solution? Because for those of us who grew up on Guam, I had no idea what unemployment insurance was. Because for people like us, right, Chris? You grew up here, you go to public school, and you try and get a good job, whether you're in high school or whatever like that. If you change jobs, if you quit, if you get fired or whatever like that, you better find another job fast. That was just the way we grew up. I mean, I only found out about unemployment insurance, 10 years ago when my sister, got laid off in the States, and she goes, "Oh, it's okay because I've got California state unemployment insurance." I'm like, really? But the conversation now is, is this going to be a permanent fixture for Gov Guam?
Well, we'll ask next time.
Yeah.
Okay, 7:44. Let's switch gears a little bit and go behind bars for our weekly check-in. Yes, with the Department of Corrections and Major Anton Uggan. Good morning, Major.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
So we'll just give you the floor for a couple minutes. What's the latest from behind bars of the Department of Corrections of Manila?
We just recently started our incoming Monday, so now the inmates are receiving some sort of personal hygiene. That'll be going on until about June 5th, and then we've already delivered all the mail packages, that parcel mail that came in. There was about 140 of those, and so that's already been distributed to the inmates. And so we're just continuing with trying to make sure we keep the COVID-19 out of our prison.
June 5th, was that just because that's when the state of emergency, public health emergency is expired?
No. Actually, because we have 18 different housing units. So when we break down the incoming per housing unit, because we don't want to get overwhelmed on one day with everybody coming in, so we broke it down per housing unit, so many housing units a day. The bigger units are probably one day only, where the family can come in and drop it off. When you lay that all out, it takes us up to about the June 5th, I believe, when the last unit will receive their incoming.
Did you guys find any contraband?
Not in the incoming. We did have some contraband. Again, attempts to throw over our perimeter, I think, last week.
Oh,
but we were able to. The officers got it.
What was the contraband?
Same thing as normally: drugs, tobacco, lighters, syringes, other things. Just mostly tobacco, cigarettes, and all wrapped up in duct tape.
What kind of drugs?
I believe there were ice. We don't test it. What we do with the package, Sabrina, is when we get the package, we call the Guam police and they open it up. We don't open it up, the package. They open it up and inventory it and can take it. It looked like it was ice, but of course we weren't able to test it on site.
Totally unrelated, but I saw Jeff Limo at Payless over the weekend.
Yeah, totally unreal.
And it was just awkward. So I was like, hey, good to see you. And we were both like, good to see you. And then after, I bet he was like, yeah. F that guy. Anyway, yeah. Sorry.
So how much ice?
You know, I don't know the weight and stuff, but it was
Significant package?
Was it the chronic or was it like the watered down?
Probably watered down.
I see.
Probably watered down.
So
but
Major, are they shooting it up in there with the syringes? Or is that for the insulin?
No, I mean, they're throwing syringes, lighters, and all that. So I guess it's probably a combination. But again, we've been pretty good at catching it and deterring it from coming in.
Right.
So it's probably a little dry up there right now. So
y'all don't have
they're
cameras?
They're getting really desperate.
They're getting Kennedy,
You
Major?
guys don't have cameras or anything? I mean,
We have some cameras, but it doesn't cover the whole facility.
Wow.
We have some in some areas, and again, my suspects on these things are just people who's been inside the prison and who are released and are now, on the outside trying to get some in.
That'd be a good bill for your oversight to introduce. Something with like put some security cameras, face it towards the road. Right now it's probably facing the wall, it seems like.
No, that's always been an idea for the cameras and a big netting system around the prison. Most mainland prisons are using these golf course nets.
Right.
That they put up along the perimeter. They go 50 feet high. That help deter that. But again, we got the information, but the cost alone is going to be, probably more than $1 million.
Hey, we got some CARES funding.
Yeah, we did.
Our director and our deputy are working on, plans to submit and request for some funding on these projects to help deter contraband. But, again, all we can do is apply and try to get the funding. We still have issues with locks, and we're still trying to do that because we have a few units that still need their locking devices changed. And so we're still trying to work on those things too. So, again, it's an old facility, and we're just doing our best to try to keep it running.
Mm-hmm. I remember there was a point, though, when there was this effort to try and get you guys a new facility, but that didn't work out so well.
Right.
Yes,
it is what it is.
That'll be a big undertaking of government. So,
Major.
In the meantime, we just do what we can to shore up our infrastructure ourselves and try to deter. We've added lights to the perimeter. We got more officers out there now because of the ones we hired. So it's getting manned a lot more. We even put a tower on top of one of the posts out there. We actually built a second level for it so the officer could stand and have a greater vision of the compound.
Major,
so
what
that
are
is to try to stop it.
What are the relatives, friends, and families of inmates and detainees? Because you started the incoming Monday. What are some of the things that they're bringing in for the prisoners?
Well, again, it's just, we have already informed everybody it's just for hygiene products. Some have still tried to bring in other items that they normally would bring in the past, clothes and some other things that we're not allowing. For example, in the mail packages, when they mailed it in, we had to confiscate some stuff that were mailed in that wasn't really authorized. Maybe it's not the family's fault, they didn't know. And they just send in, we've had a lot of them send in even pancake syrup and a bunch of other stuff that we have to take out of the mail.
Check that, Major. Yeah. That could be the pancake syrup meth.
Yeah. So we that's
Did it come in with syringes?
Did they send many pancake mix or what?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to say anybody's trying to do anything with it, but maybe the family just didn't know and just tried to get it in. But we go through all those mail packages and we take out what's not authorized, and take custody of it. And one of them was even a Beats earphone. Beats earphone was sent in.
Damn.
And so we that's not allowed in there, so we had to confiscate it. That's why those parcel packages take time to go through it when families drop it off. It really does. And we had like 140 of them.
What?
So it takes a lot of time to open them up individually and go through it with the inmate and making sure that everything that we're going to issue them is authorized. So it's a big undertaking.
So that's the process. You sit there with the inmate and open it, and it's like one of those YouTube unboxings.
Yeah, I mean, our rules say that the inmate we're supposed to open it up in front of the inmate, so those
Look at this pancake syrup. Nope, not getting that. Aye,
yeah,
day, Malago pancake syrup, boy.
Yeah.
Aye, day.
And there was some argument between the inmates and the officers, a bit of, sir, can I have that? Really, I just, no, you can't have it. Sorry.
Really, sir, that is going to go great on that food. You guys are got to put something on that food we're getting.
Yeah, we're going to mix it with our menu, sir, and we're just going to eat. Don't trust us, sir. We're just going to eat it.
I forget what the prison food, they mix everything all together. Damn, what's it called?
No, I mean, the prison
Google
food is actually pretty, we have an outside contract that handles that, so.
Right.
I mean, it's not.
Is it Capital Kitchen or?
I wouldn't be eating it at the restaurant. I mean, it's not, but it's California market.
Wouldn't be eating it at the restaurant.
I just caught that.
Oh, thanks, Bree.
I mean, it's not the,
Just stop, Major.
Yeah, but I mean,
Where are we? Okay, let's switch subjects. Enough of the pancakes, guys.
Yeah.
What's up with testing? Anybody else been
again,
tested over at DOC?
Again, in regards to testing, our director has made it clear. He even, I guess, contacted with public health. And, he wants to test every in there. But again, the process right now under Guam is that if you show symptoms, then you get tested if it's, part of that process. So have not had any inmates at this point require a testing. The doctors have not referred anybody for testing, so nobody at this point has been tested.
What about officers? Anything new?
I mean, if someone shows the signs and symptoms of it, then of course they'll see the medical, and then the medical will refer them based on their symptoms, what needs to be done, and then medical will take it from there. But at this point, we've not had to do that.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
All right. Anything else?
No, it's just going to be a busy week with the incoming, and just moving on. We are working now with the courts to try to increase our video capability with the courts. So in the last couple of weeks, we've been meeting with the courts team down there, trying to work on ways to better deliver services for the defendants, for all the detainees and stuff in regards to court appearance. So we're working on that, and hopefully in a few weeks we can get some progress on it.
Okay, Major. Thank you for your weekly check-in. It's always a pleasure to go behind bars, especially when we can just go right back out.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
All right, Major. Take care.
Okay.
Wash your hands, Kay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Major Anton Uggan, the Department of Corrections. Hey, we got to take a little break. 7:54. Remember, we're jumping over to KUM TV 11 at 8 o'clock. It's the KUM News Takeover, Guam's favorite. I-94, good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
now is not the time for us versus them.
GMH Administrator Lillian
University of Guam Dean of Nursing Margaret.
There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Help is on the way from a marine medical.
out in the public where all are more exposed.
585 have tested positive.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Good morning. Hey, good morning to our TV 11 viewers. KUAM TV 11. Remember, we jump on KUAM TV 11 for the last half of the show. And the show is Containing COVID. KUAM FM, Agana, Guam. It's the KUAM News takeover of Guam's favorite I-94. And it's all proudly brought to you by Coast 360, the Bank of Guam, Ambrose, Calvo Enterprises, and IT&E. Good morning. There are just so many ways to catch the show, of course, right here on the radio. There's also a stream on the KUAM News app and at KUAM.com. There's an audio stream, Docomo Channel 10. Again, KUAM TV 11. And last, but not least, on the Edward R. Murrow Award-winning social media networks of KUAM. Good morning to our KUAM News Facebook Live viewers. 8:08, as we always do. Let's start this hour with a dive into the day's COVID-19 headlines from the KUAM News team. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Mantanani.
Hafaday, good morning, everyone. The Department of Public Health's lab was closed for the Memorial Day holiday, but over the weekend, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases went up by 1 after a woman tested positive at GMH. According to Public Health's situation report, the woman was identified while staying at a government quarantine facility and was tested at the hospital. The total number of confirmed cases now stands at 166, 5 deaths, and 138 recoveries. For detailed information about COVID cases on Guam, you can read the Public Health's daily situation reports on their website. After a week of delays, the feds have finally been able to transfer its first allotment of $276 million for pandemic unemployment relief to the Guam Department of Labor. According to DOL Director David De La Sola, U.S. DOL was having system issues for over a week. Although the transfer has finally been made, displaced workers are still not able to apply online. De La Sola says the online application should be launched hopefully by the end of this week. Meanwhile, Senator Regine Bisco-Lee has scheduled a virtual oversight hearing over DOL for Monday, June 1st to discuss the implementation of the FPUC and PUA programs. The controversial issue of double pay heads to court this afternoon. Attorney Tom Fisher represents frontliner police officer Steve Tapasnia. Last week, he filed a writ asking the court to order the governor to pay double pay to frontliners. The governor is relying on an opinion by the Attorney General that finds that if a department or facility remains open, like GPD, GFD, or the hospital, then the employees, though essential, aren't entitled to double pay. But Fisher argues with disagrees with the opinion, calling it lazy, and that the law is clear that employees are entitled to double pay. The governor has acknowledged that some form of extra pay is due to frontliners, so she came up with pay differential of 10 to 15 and 25% based on risk. 3 bills have been introduced to address the issue, but Fisher again says they're not needed because the law already mandates that they be paid. The case goes before Superior Court Judge Anita Sokola at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Adriana Cotero will be there to cover that story. Meanwhile, the Guam Federation of Teachers for the past 2 weeks had been collecting names of individuals wanting to join their lawsuit, which they indicated they plan to file today. At last check, up to 500 GovGuam frontliners had signed up for the pending litigation. The governor has said that the government can't afford to pay double pay and has threatened the possibility of furloughs. More than 60 passengers who were being quarantined at Hotel Santa Fe in Tamuning have been transferred. According to a notice given to passengers, their issues and concerns about the government facility were heard, and the government has made the decision to relocate all passengers to a facility that is better suited to complete the remaining quarantine days. The more than 60 passengers have since been transferred to Ocean View Hotel Garden Court in Tumon. There is no official word yet from GSA as to what the particular issues and concerns were with Hotel Santa Fe. GDOE, along with Pacific Unlimited Incorporated in Matson, will be issuing USDA families to farmers' food boxes and disaster household distribution food commodity bags at new locations starting tomorrow. The distribution at GDOE's warehouse in Petey has ceased and moved to different locations. On Wednesday, May 27th, distribution will take place at the Teedson Upper Baseball Field from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then on Friday, the 29th, food will be distributed at Teedson Upper Baseball Field and Dedido Farmers Market again, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Please note only 2,000 food bags and boxes will be distributed at each site on a first-come, first-served basis. According to GDOE, last week traffic congestion had been an issue at the PD warehouse, and they were looking at ways to alleviate it. Also over the weekend, Vice Speaker Talina Nelson wrote the governor requesting the activation of the Guam National Guard to assist and to look at the expansion of distribution sites across the island. Starting today through Friday, the Guam Homeless Coalition, GORA, and Public Health will conduct COVID-19 testing of the island's homeless population as part of their 2020 Passport to Services program. The testing is from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. The testing again starts today at the Tamuning Gym, Wednesday at Paseo, Thursday at the EPAL Main Pavilion, and Friday in Dedido at the Old Fire Station at the Iglesia Circle. Catered meals and gift bags containing food and hygiene products will be provided to the homeless after testing. Providers will also conduct initial assessments of those participating to determine housing options that are available for them. There's still no word when the Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration will be opening a hardened shelter for the island's homeless population. Archbishop Michael Burns announcing the celebration of mass services inside churches will resume this weekend. This comes on the heels of President Trump's call for states to allow places of worship to reopen. Archbishop Burns says with the openings of churches, parishes will adhere to social distancing guidelines, only allowing 50% capacity and requiring all patrons to wear masks. He adds that the Archdiocese will continue to work with health and government officials to ensure the safety of the community from COVID-19. In news out of the CNMI, Governor Ralph Torres' COVID-19 task force announces that starting today, the NMI will move to zone yellow in its economic recovery plan. This means that businesses can expand hours from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Restaurants can also accommodate dine-in customers under the condition that they only occupy 25% of their original occupancy limit. Bars remain closed. Curfew is also extended to the hours of 11 p.m. to 5 in the morning. The adjustment also allows for in-person church and worship services to resume with a limited attendance of 25% and in accordance with social distancing. Gyms are permitted to open its doors with strict guidelines and non-contact activities. Managaha Island is also now open to the public under strict social distancing on and cleaning of transport vessels. According to the CNMI Governor's Office, establishments who violate business hours are subject to closure, ranging from 1 month to 1 year, depending on the number of offenses. Penalties laid out for violating social distancing mandates in businesses also include immediate closure for up to 30 days or more. Again, that is what's happening in the CNMI. In national news, President Trump is marking Memorial Day with not one but two different events. The White House is increasing the president's public schedule as he pushes for America to reopen. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
The ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery looked different this year as guests paid tribute to the nation's fallen. Dignitaries were asked to remove their masks ahead of the president's arrival. The few in attendance maintained a social distance as he laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. At a ceremony in Baltimore this afternoon, the president included people who have died from the coronavirus during his remarks.
We mourn alongside every single family that has lost loved ones, including the families of our great veterans.
While some urged President Trump not to travel during the pandemic, he's making more trips away from the White House, including 2 golf outings this weekend. Joe Biden's campaign seized on the outing in a new attack ad. President Trump responded on Twitter calling it exercise and said it's his first time golfing in nearly 3 months. The president this morning also threatened to move his party's convention out of North Carolina if that state's Democratic governor doesn't guarantee Republicans will be allowed to attend this August.
We look forward to working with Governor Cooper, getting a swift response, and if needs be, moving the national convention to a state that is farther along on reopening and can say with confidence that we can gather there.
While the president wants Americans on the move again, he's putting in new travel restrictions on Brazil.
We hope that'll be temporary, but because of the situation in Brazil, we're going to take every step necessary to protect the American people.
Brazil currently has the second most coronavirus cases behind the U.S. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The travel restrictions apply to all non-U.S. citizens who have visited Brazil in the 14 days prior to their arrival in the United States. In your Banking 671 report, the Guam Bankers Association is encouraging residents who plan to file for Pandemic Unemployment Assistance or PUA to consider opting for direct deposit. To opt in, you're urged to make the following steps. 1, open a deposit account with your preferred bank. 2, collect necessary account information. Be prepared to provide your account number and your bank's routing number. And number 3, visit Guam DOL's online portal, hireguam.com, to apply for assistance only, of course, when they begin to accept applications, which Mr. De La Sola said earlier in our show, hopefully by the end of this week. And finally, the Bank of Guam announces the reopening of its Jigo branch beginning today. Extended hours also start today as well. Hagåtña, Pertumon, Anderson, Mangilao, and Jigo. And the Tumon drive-thru, it's 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. They are closed on Saturdays. And don't forget they have Minumco hour from 7:30 to 8:30 a.m. Again, Monday through Friday at the Hagåtña branch and drive-through Minumco hours. And that is your Banking 671 report brought to you by the Bank of Guam and Coast 360.
All right, thank you very much. 8:18. Let's keep it going here with the phones. You mentioned it during the newscast there, Sabrina, the passport services here for the homeless as they're rolling out the testing for the homeless. Is it this morning?
Yes, in Tamuning.
Okay, so let's get my friend Margaret Hattori Chima from the Guam Homeless Coalition and also the University of Guam. Good morning, Margaret.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, good morning. So I guess just first of all, can you just tell us a little bit more about you guys' involvement in the testing and the other efforts that are going on this week with the homeless?
Okay, well, the Homeless Coalition has public health as one of the partners, and so we've been meeting with public health, for quite a while, especially when the Paseo plan first came out, right? So that fell through. It's not a good plan, but we really wanted to continue to move forward and try to figure out how we can set things up to provide testing as well as our services. April and May is usually when we did our huge Passport to Services event, where we had our homeless providers meet with the homeless and give them options. And during that event, it's kind of sad because that event, a lot of homeless anticipated that, they're used to that happening, and we were always able to help someone get a job or house them or, really make a connection with our homeless individuals and families. So it's kind of sad we couldn't do that this year, but in conjunction with public health, sorry, I'm outside, we're getting set up. They are testing individuals and families today at Tamuning, and it was supposed to be at the senior center, but there's another event, so we're setting up in the pavilions, by the tennis courts.
Okay.
And Catholic Social Service has an outreach team. Those guys are great. They've been going out to talk to the homeless, provide some services and some hygiene supplies as well as masks. And they've already informed the homeless in the different areas, of the dates of the outreach. So I know last week Friday and the week before they went out, and many of the homeless that they talked to, the majority are willing to get tested. So we're very happy about that, because we do need to get a sense of where the virus is and who's infected. Because we really don't know until we start doing more testing.
And we had 2 homeless test positive for COVID-19. This was a few weeks ago. We didn't find out any other information, and I don't know. I just feel like it's a little. I mean, glad they're getting tested, but it's a little late in the game. I don't understand why.
Although it's so difficult, right, because of the lack of resources, and so I feel that it's never too late. And in terms of Guam and our the plans for mass testing, I'm happy that we're doing the homeless now, and I'm happy that they did do areas like Guma Tranquilidad, of course, and St. Dominic, because you've seen in the U.S. mainland how elderly facilities have been decimated. But we've got some of the Homeless Coalition service providers that will be here today: Salvation Army, Guam Behavioral Health, of course, Catholic Social Services. And GURA will be here. So we will be providing some referrals as well. We're just setting up canopies now. It starts at 9. Some of us will probably go out, and some of the homeless are already starting to trickle in.
What's your goal for today, Margaret? How many people are you looking to get tested? I mean, are you approaching it with that kind of mindset? Because, I mean, they know.
Yes.
I know that they know the testing is there, but will they come?
Oh yes. So CSS has done a great job. You know Paula Perez, right? Social worker extraordinaire. She's been going out. What a frontliner, that woman. She's an unsung hero. But CSS, they've got a long-standing relationship with the homeless individuals, and so she actually has had a heart-to-heart with them. She's done COVID prevention education, but really ask them, hey, if we set this up, are you willing to come and get tested? We'll also have our usual goodie bag with canned goods, and I think you saw yesterday Homeland Security's been making some hygiene bags, and we've already given some masks out, but they'll also be able to get some masks. So I think our sense, and a lot of the homeless have been hearing about, that something was going to happen and there were going to be some services. So I believe that they will come out and get tested. There are some pockets where we know they won't come out for various reasons, and public health, these nurses are amazing. They're, again, unsung heroes. I just talked to Margarita Gay from public health, and she's willing to take a small team and go to a few pockets and test people that just for some reason won't come here to the site, to get a really better sense of the homeless population and if they are infected or not. So I think that's amazing. But based on the January numbers, this area had 50 unsheltered homeless. Now keep in mind, this event is only targeting unsheltered. Our count also included people living in very substandard housing, and that's not what this event is for. This is really purely the street homeless. So I'd say the high end count would be 50, but I'd be happy if we had 25. 50 would be amazing. Paseo, our high count is 100, and there are a lot more in the Paseo area.
Right.
A lot more homeless.
That just reminds me, Agani would be a good place for some type of facility for the homeless, seeing as how they have a high number of street homeless.
Yes, and CSS and the other homeless shelter providers have been working closely with GURA and the team that's been trying to figure out whether or not to get a hardened facility, and it's just so complicated. We just want to make sure that there are services available.
Is it really complicated, Margaret? I mean, because this is frustrating on our end, and I don't even know if you guys are okay with it, but I mean,
we're very frustrated. Chris, you're right. Well, everyone's been frustrated because the individuals we want to reach out to, but some of the homeless providers like CSS had already expanded some of their programs, and so they're working with GRIS to get some of the funding. And I think that's an excellent way to go, is to get funding so that providers like Salvation Army, CSS, and others that already have homeless services can expand. And we really need to increase housing for the homeless, whether it's a shelter, or a family shelter. It's only one, and it's always got a wait list, the one in Dedido. But also, it's difficult in the rental market to be able to get enough housing units for the homeless, even if we do have vouchers. So I think it needs to be tackled from more than one end. But definitely we're relieved that we didn't move forward with Paseo, particularly because, that's just not, you don't want to congregate a group that and potentially expose them to other problems.
Right. I mean, it's just frustrating because how much time and runaround and effort did we hear with Paseo, and then it was like,
they were out there measuring the social distancing.
The day before it was supposed to open, and I don't know. I mean, I just want to get mad at somebody. Can you tell me who to get mad at?
No, I don't know who to get mad at.
Just point me. I'm a loaded gun. Point me at who I get mad at.
We heard it was like, oh, well, the tents weren't the right size, and, we got to save the tents that we have in our inventory for typhoon season.
Yeah, as a coalition, we're just happy that plan did not go through, and because that just was not the most appropriate plan. But you're right, we need to move forward. Sorry, I'm just watching all the nurses get set up. So, so it's hard to get mad only because, as a coalition and with public health nursing, we just decided, okay, what can we do next? We know we can test, and we know we can offer the services that the coalition already had. And, we're working with GURA to try to expand, like I said. But you're right, that's above my pay grade, and I just don't know who to tell you to get mad at, because we do need more shelters.
So have you heard like where this new hardened shelter is going to be? Or an idea?
We did. We have, of course, been participating with Homeland Security in some of those talks. But, the problem with the hardened facility, if it's not a permanent structure, in talking with the homeless, they don't want to be uprooted from where they're at for, let's say, a month or 2 months while it's, a great plan, and then get kicked out. Right. So unless there's permanent supportive housing, I don't know. A temporary plan is not a good solution. I mean, I know temporary plans are great, but, the homeless have been around for a long time. They're not stupid. CSS has been, talking to them and said, oh, hey, if we open this, would you want to go in? And a lot of them were saying, well, if it's short term, I'm going to lose my spot where I always stay. Right. And then unless you're going to get me permanent housing, with all the support systems, right? That's why I meant it's complicated, right. Because, while we need a building, we want to make sure that there's steps in place to help them with things like employment skills and housing that's actually affordable. And GURA's been very, very helpful. Morse is our GURA person that we work with on the coalition.
Right. And when you talk about GURA, you're talking about like their self-sufficiency program?
Well, actually, GURA is Morse from GURA they're the collaborative applicants. So all our homeless coalition funding goes through GURA first, right? And then it passes through them down to the service providers. But they've been trying to work on, more in particular, has been really advocating for trying to, get more vouchers for affordable housing and working with apartment owners to try to get more housing units. They already have prioritized families with children. I know CSS and the elderly. I know several weeks ago when the whole Paseo thing was, really, when they were going to open that week, I know CSS had actually been successfully able to house some of the high priority homeless, meaning families with children and disabled homeless.
But the housing options, I mean, how much is dependent upon whether or not people have to be employed? Because it just seems like it'd be a hard time trying to find a job during these times. Yeah.
Right, definitely. And of course that's a consideration, and Salvation Army as well helps with, and not just sorry, the big truck, not just Salvation Army, but some of the other providers. Department of Labor, Department of Labor has been a great partner for us in trying to do some job training. But also, just getting them housed at first. You've heard of housing first as an approach where, the goal is to just get them off the street and into housing, right. And then work with all the other services. But there are some partners like DOL, that have been very helpful in terms of trying to set up training. And, you know, I've had some homeless individuals, well, last year when we went out on the count, this year, sorry. When we went out on the count, the Department of Labor rep immediately got some of them in, especially younger adults that are able-bodied, in for appointments, and some of them eventually got jobs. But the problem was, well, there's so many problems with the employment market right now. But, you know, we got to hit this homeless issue from all fronts, because it's affecting so many people of all different walks of life, you know, from children, pregnant women. We had a pregnant woman recently give birth that was homeless. But just know that the service providers have been out there and, you know, really struggling, but still trying to reach out to the homeless.
I mean, Margaret, I feel like it's been a bad year. I'm still bitter about the Ganya, the old legislature building, and everything that happened with that, and the reactions that we got from the administration. It was just, frankly, lacking compassion and empathy, I thought. And here we are, you know, 2 months into this pandemic, still trying to figure out how to put a roof over the homeless people's heads. But you know, and I feel like you're saying we're close, and I understand that if this is something that's going to be permanent, this could be an important part of the puzzle.
Yes.
Right?
Definitely.
Because you stand up a permanent shelter, we all know that there aren't enough shelters, and I just feel like we're just so close, and this could be something big for you guys.
But that's if it's not just a temporary open.
Correct.
Okay, let's just open it up.
Right.
I mean, well, not to bring up the hotel issues, but you know, bouncing people around from hotel to hotel that are in quarantine. I mean, you just want to make sure that if we're going to do a hardened structure, number one, what is the plan? What's the long-term plan, right? And who's going to run it? That's another big thing. You know, we've been talking about that. But yes, we're definitely keeping in communication with Homeland Security to find out where the progress is on that. And once we get through this week, especially with public health, and see what the numbers are looking like, I am really hoping, whatever the numbers are, that plan for something, whether it's a permanent shelter, you know, doesn't get dropped. Because, you know, you're right, this has been going on for too long, and it has been a frustrating year. And if there's funding available, I think we need to use it, and use it wisely.
Yeah, you're talking common sense again, Margaret. I don't know what language is this. What language is this? It sounds like I don't understand it. No, every time we talk about the homeless, I get a foot-long text from Ray Tapasnia after the show. So
Oh yeah, we've been working with Ray. We all learned a lot from
it never
the
fails.
planning,
Every time we got somebody on, he sends me about a WhatsApp that long, like, okay, this is this, and that's this, and they said that, and then like, so I'll let you know what he says.
How many? We're working with Ray and the Gura people.
You don't sound so excited about that, though. You're like, we're working with Ray and the Gura people. Are they giving you the support you need?
That's where hope lies, right? In terms of anything sustainable, it really lies. Gura is a key, and Ray's staff have been very close working closely with the coalition members. So cross your fingers. They're hoping today goes well. It's already drizzling a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
How many homeless people? I'm sorry. What's the
Well, in the number in January for the Tamuning count was 50 street homeless.
I mean overall.
Oh darn! I'm so sorry, Sabrina. I don't remember.
I mean, I think it's.
But you are I guess anticipating a spike as a result of COVID.
Yes.
Do we have any numbers on that yet, Margaret, or not yet?
No, not yet. You mean the
increase?
The increase?
Right.
No, I don't. I'd have to ask Angelina.
Because we have some anecdotal things. Mayor Louise has said she's seeing more people. Mayor Hoffman also said it.
I think tomorrow when we're in Paseo, we'll get a better view of it as well.
Okay, well, keep us posted.
Okay, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Anything else you want to add here, Margaret? You know, a lot of homeless people pop on the show. What do you want to say to them? This is their week.
Well, definitely, we are going to have some food. We're going to have service providers that want to do some referrals and help. We've got a bag also that we're giving out with food and some toiletries. So I really encourage them to come down and get tested we really want to help and do whatever we can and just make that connection, because we can also do follow-up. We've got our great homeless outreach team coming today, so please, we really do hope that people will come out the whole week.
Yeah.
Right on. Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you. Thanks
Hey,
a lot. I appreciate it.
If you need to touch base with us anytime this week, shoot me a text and we'll get you right on, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything you're doing.
Wash your hands. Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Yeah.
So Passport to Services, it's today. They're doing testing. They're going to be giving out bags with hygiene products for the island's homeless population. That is Tamuning, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. I'm sorry, it's not the gym, it's the pavilions.
By the tennis court.
Right.
We can see there's always a lot of homeless hanging around there, so. 8:35. So, Bree, you kind of turned me on to this Facebook post that came out over the weekend.
You turned me on to it. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, I just sent it to you because someone sent it to me, and I was like, I don't even want to open this. I don't know what it is. But there's a woman here who is in quarantine, a government of Guam quarantine facility.
Mm-hmm. And she seems really frustrated with the number one, the fact that she's in quarantine, and then number two, just the information you're provided when you arrive to Guam, and phone numbers and things like that, and she's gotten nowhere.
And we actually have a clip. We're going to play this first clip here is where the woman is reading off. I'm going to make sure we're queued up here with our I want to give our digital team a big hand. Thank you guys. Jason Solis, a little bit overkill to have him behind there pressing buttons, but thank you. And Joe Sir. So we're going to play this clip from Kirsten is a woman's name, and she's in the government of Guam quarantine facility reading off the paper that you get when you get quarantined.
So they gave us this letter with numbers to call, and it literally says, please call the medical triage phone hotline center at these numbers. And it said to call if to request or need assistance in complying. Okay, hold on. This is the first number. Okay, it's right there. And we're calling it. And it's being all wonky, and it's telling me that the phone number is not real. The government of Guam gave us a bunch of fake numbers. We called all of them, and literally they're not really working. They'll ring for like 10 minutes. Hopefully they answer.
The number you dialed is incorrect. Please check the number and try again later.
Exactly the right number. And it hung up on me. Okay, next. We're going to do the next one. 6760. Oh, sorry. 4800 6760. This one just rang for like 10 minutes. It also says at the end that if this request may result in emergency detention order if we do not comply. So they give us an emergency line to call if we have problems, threaten to detain us, and then the numbers that they send us aren't even real. Guam, where's your money going to? All these millions of dollars, where is it going to? Because it's not in this blood-soaked rum. It's not in this lines that are fake numbers that the government gave us. This is the official government of Guam seal. This is the Public Health Social Services official seal, and the numbers are fake. Okay, I feel like it's about time that we just switch on to the next, because it's been ringing for well over a minute now, and that's just not how it goes. Okay, 671 480 6763. This is the third number on the list of numbers they gave us. It's a really bad time for the nail salons to be closed. It's okay, me too. and it's like being weird. It's not ringing automatically. Like, it's like these numbers aren't even actually real. Like, they set up some fake shit. Nothing. How are you gonna have a medical triage phone hotline center with 4 fake numbers? Hello? God damn it, we're like, please, somebody help us. Okay, well, I'm gonna go with, this one's not gonna answer either, but we can let it ring for another minute just to prove our point. But I've called enough bitches. Yeah, we did. And I blew it out for a little while. I relit that shit because it started smelling like mold in here. Well,
Not even a voicemail
you
system.
heard it here first. There's not a voicemail system. The numbers are fake. This is the last one. 671-480-673.
All right, so again, that's a clip that was posted on Facebook over the weekend from Kirsten, who is currently in the government of Guam hotel quarantine. You know,
One of them, right?
One of them, yeah. It reminds me of that time. It seemed to
remember that time.
Do you remember that time in the press conference where I had asked the governor, because she kept telling people, go apply for food stamps, hang in there, go apply for the local assistance is the federally funded food stamps. And so they were giving out these numbers, and when we tried calling the numbers, it was like fast, busy, disconnected, you know, we didn't get an answer. So when we brought it up in the press conference and I'd asked the governor tore my head off. And she was like, oh, I just called those numbers and they're working. And then I remember I was like, oh, maybe I need to use your phone. And then we went and called the numbers because I kind of know how to dial a telephone number. You know, I know how to dial telephone numbers so good. I used to dial them like this. I've been dialing phones for a minute, okay, guys?
And we double, triple checked those numbers.
Of course we did, because we did not want to be...
I check, he checked.
Yeah.
Kept going back and forth. Are you sure?
I was like, Bree, can you be sure? Because when I go on this and I ask, I don't want to be, like, wrong. And so we all took turns dialing them, and that's why we asked. And, like, anyway, I just was a little bothered. Like, you think I would really go and ask you this if, like, we didn't check to be sure? I'm not trying to set you up. Just trying to help the people because they keep calling, and they were the ones who were complaining. So, yeah, we have a little bit of a problem with the phones answering or...
Working,
or, you know, I don't know.
And then Josh, Lieutenant Governor, came on like a week or so later and admitted...
Right.
You know, oh, yeah, the problem's been fixed.
Correct, yeah. And so that was interesting. So we were right, in other words. But it's not about being right. It's about getting things done. And so that being said, we want to actually bring Kirsten up onto the show this morning. But I got to tell you, Kirsten, our digital editor, Joe Sir, had a field day bleeping out all your colorful language. I was like, is she from the Roosevelt? Because it's got a sailor.
Yeah, I'm kind of...
I got it, yeah.
That, that was... we were very upset. We were having some issues. We actually had been in the hotel room for a couple hours at that point, and we had been put in a room that was very dirty. We thought it was blood on the walls, but the staff told us, and it was like they were trying to make us feel better about the situation, but they told us that it was just someone spit pine nuts or beetle nuts or something on the walls. And that didn't really make me feel any better about being in a room with spit on the walls. There was a lot of problems in the room that are ridiculous, that they would put anyone in there in any situation, much less a situation where they have no choice but to be there. And we were actually calling because when we called the staff of the hotel to ask them if they could switch us to a clean room with a working air conditioner, they said that they had no power to move us, that they had to have specific permissions by the public health people, and that the Army people would have to transfer us into a new room, which that sounds legitimate. That sounds very reasonable in these circumstances to us. So we started calling the numbers that we had been given prior by the public health people in the airport, and there was no one to be reached. We couldn't reach anyone. So we said, whatever, they guaranteed that someone would be there at 8 o'clock in the morning to talk to us and handle the situation. 8 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, I called the office and requested if there was a public health official or like one of the Army people that could talk to us or anything. And they were like, we'll see what we can do. Maybe 45 minutes later, I called back down and they put me on the phone with a gentleman from the Army, and he was like, what's going on? And I was like, this is the conditions of the room, this, that, and the other. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I'll see what I can do. And I had to, eventually the problem instantly got resolved after I threatened to jump out the window. I was like, I'm not going to stay in this room, I will jump out the window. And conveniently, 15 minutes later, there was no policies to follow. They were like, okay, yep, we'll be there, grab your suitcases, we're going to switch your room immediately. And I think it's ridiculous. It wasn't like, oh, hey, I want a bathtub in my room, I want a king bed, I want this, I
Is
want
this
that.
supposed to come with a jacuzzi?
Exactly. I'm like, can I get some champagne in this room? And they're just like being unreasonable, you know? And then another problem that we were having is I have multiple sclerosis, and heat is not my friend. So I was like starting to have like some nausea and some problems because the room was getting so hot. Like everybody knows, it's Guam, it's humid, it's hot, that's what it is, but you need an air conditioner to be comfortable. And so they switched us to a room, and it was clean. There was no more complaints. And then I went to take a shower. The shower head wasn't on. There was no shower head. It was just a pipe sticking out the wall.
Oh, that's
So
like the ranch, girl. You never showered at the ranch?
No, I can't say that I've ever taken a shower without a shower head. So I called, I requested a shower head. That was the only request I made. I called, I said, hey, yeah, there's no shower head, kind of question mark.
Oh my goodness.
That's kind of weird. And she was like, I'll see what I can do, and just hung up the phone on me.
Wow.
Maybe 30 minutes later, a maintenance guy came into our room. He came in, the maintenance guy. This man walked into our room with no warning, no anything. They didn't call us and say a maintenance man is coming. Me and my friend when he came in, me and my friend went to the opposite side of the room. You know, like I've been respecting the CDC guidelines since March. As soon as they started telling people to do certain things to keep themselves healthy and safe, I've been respecting it. So when this man that I do not know walked into the room with no warning, no nothing, came in to fix the shower, which I am thankful that they did it in a timely manner, but he came in, we didn't have time to put our masks on, and we're pushed into the corner of the room, standing as physically far as possible away from him as we could, and he's telling us verbatim that we're being ungrateful and difficult, and he's like, we don't have enough staff to keep the rooms to your standards. And I was like, all we ask is to not have blood on the walls. And that's when he let us know that it wasn't blood. He was like, someone just spit beetle nuts on the walls. And I was like, that's no better. That's literally not any better, especially considering that this hotel, to get the money that they're getting from the emergency fund, has to keep this hotel up to certain health standards to make sure that people aren't getting sick. That's the literal whole point of this whole thing. So after the guy was very rude and telling us that we were being difficult and ungrateful, he fixed the shower head, he left. No more problems, none. We didn't call anyone, we didn't ask for anything special, nothing. At some point, I was having problems swallowing. It's just like a thing that happens with multiple sclerosis. I was told to stop taking my medication until I knew that I wasn't going to be sick or get sick, because it's an immune suppressant drug. And so I was having symptoms, which is no one's fault. It just happened. But I called and I requested that instead of the meals they were providing, that they maybe like send me protein shakes or something. And they were like, the best we can do is give you salmon and mashed potatoes. And I was like, no, I need like literally something around the consistency of like milk or water, like a protein shake, something that I can easily swallow. And they were like, you're being difficult, and hung up and had no interest in anything. They were like, we're going to send you salmon and mashed potatoes, and that's soft enough. They weren't willing to work on it or anything. A public health official came to the room and was telling us, he showed us this document that said that these are the things that we needed to produce to be able to home quarantine. And we were telling him that we produced it. We have the emails that we sent at 6 o'clock in the morning as soon as we had all of it, because it was a battle that we had to deal with. Like, we were trying to follow every guideline they gave us. It was literally, they'd be like, okay, we need negative test results. We produced the negative test results. They were like, okay, no, we need this. We produced it. They'd be like, no, now we need this. We produced that. They were like, oh, well, how do we know that you were really these people on
Wait, so you said you had negative test results too?
Yes, we have negative test results from a CDC-approved facility. We got tested at the public health office in San Diego before leaving. We landed within the 72-hour mark. We were quarantined within the 72-hour mark. We met every single legal request that we were given before leaving San Diego and coming here. We have been trying to meet every guideline, and it's just ridiculous that we were the only ones following the guidelines. None of these public health officials at any point were following anything. They weren't using Germ-X. They were digging through our stuff at the airport without changing gloves or using Germ-X. So honestly, if we would have gotten sick, it would have happened in that airport when they had a group of 40 people standing basically within, hands distance of each other. And then we had several people tell us to get into the line and get into the group when me and my friend were standing more towards baggage claim, waiting for more people to leave the area before we walked in to a group of people that we don't know have been following guidelines or anything. So it was just like a whole mess, like
Right.
nothing enough, nothing. Every single time they asked us to pursue something, it was like this. And then they told us that they needed to make sure we were the people on these test results. Understandable. None of the requests they were asking for about these documentations seemed insane to me or anything. They were very reasonable. They wanted documentation. They wanted proof of the date that we got tested. They wanted proof that we were the people in the test results. And then we were like, okay, well, y'all took copies of our IDs at the airport. This is public. Every single person, we watched people take pictures of their identification cards and passports. And we told them, we were like, well, you already took pictures of our identification cards, but we will literally hand them to you right now. And they were like, oh, well, but yeah, no, that's not going to work because we need something that has your name and your picture and your date of birth and your social security number. And I was like, there is literally no way to produce this. Like, what you're asking for is not possible. And after we were like, we gave you this, we have the evidence, we have the emails, he was like, well, maybe we'd be willing to work with you if you wouldn't have made those posts about public health putting you under power.
Public health, what'd you say?
The public health official
The phone?
told me, my friend, I started videotaping as soon as he said this, and I have the whole video. It's a 7-minute video of me. I did get I was crying, I was yelling, I was raising my voice, because after you have someone tell you that, like, it doesn't matter that you did everything we requested, that was basically just punishing you because you made a post outing that the public health was allowing people to be put into dirty rooms. I posted the pictures of the gross room, and I said, like, there was a couple posts made by a couple different people with my picture saying, like, this is disgusting, like, this shouldn't be happening in a place that's run by public health right now.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, well, we're kind of angry at you that you, like, name dropped the government and everything. And he was like, you're disrespecting our governor. And I said, like, I'm not going to say it because y'all are going to bleep it out, but, a word, and then governor, F the governor, if this is what she thinks is acceptable. And he just was like, you can't disrespect our governor, like, you can't post these videos, you can't do this. And then he was just like, he was really unhappy. He was just like angry at us on a personal level. Like, we produced all these documents, and he was like, no, this is, and we were reading it to him. The paper that he gave us highlighted, we were reading to him. We were like, nowhere on this does it say that our social security number, our name, everything has to be on one document. And he points out that it says in the document that everything is up to the DPHSS official to release you. And he was like, and maybe we'd be willing to work with you if you wouldn't have posted about it on the internet. And I was like, you literally can't say that. You can't, like, you're the person in the position of power to set us free. And he was like, you're perfectly free to leave. And I was like, perfectly free to leave and be detained. And he was like, yes, but it's your choice. And after that, which also, y'all said I was still in the quarantine. I am no longer quarantined because I ended up having a small seizure while I was standing in the bathroom, and I fell and I hit my head. I was unconscious for about 3 minutes, in which my friend, who's my caregiver, to like make sure that my neurological issues are like kept in check, because sometimes when I'm having problems, I'm not really aware of it. It's just like how it goes. And she called the nurse. She said that the nurse took like 10-15 minutes to get up there, despite her telling her that I was unconscious and having like seizure-like movements. The nurse came up and was at the door with the captain of the army guy who was there. And my friend was like, can you come help her? Can you come in? Can you come look at her? And she was like, no, she can walk to the door. And my friend was like, she's literally unconscious. Like, she won't wake up. The nurse would not come into the room and check on me. She was like, y'all are just being difficult. She was giving us problems. She wouldn't even come into the room. And what's crazy is that she was telling us that no one, absolutely no one, is allowed to go into the room. But the maintenance worker the day before had literally come into the room unannounced with no time to put on her mask or anything. And so the lady just wouldn't come in, and she told us that she had said to us, like, she was like, on the phone when I got news that there was someone in here with multiple sclerosis, I called and told you. And I was like, you did not call me and tell me anything. What you called and told me, if you called and told me that I shouldn't be taking my medication, which I already know because I have a neurologist. And I told her, I was like, yes, I already know this. Like, my neurologist went over everything, and she hung up the phone. Like, I had been hung up on several points on, and I told her that I was like needing a special diet, and she was like, well, they tried to work with you and you're being difficult. And I was like, I can't eat. I need like liquid, like actual liquid, not salmon, not mashed potatoes, actual liquid. And no one was even trying to help me. No one was giving me any options. I offered to pay for my food. I offered to pay to like take a rapid test or something. And then after I was unconscious for 3 minutes, my friend called 911. The paramedics showed up. They let the paramedics in. The paramedics had to like physically put me into the chair because I couldn't stand. I couldn't get up. They took me to the emergency room. They had told me that I had to go to GHI. They told the paramedics in front of us that we did not have test results, that we were not showing them that we were negative. They lied to them in front of us, and like as soon as they said it, my friend pulled up the LHI website in front of the people, in front of the paramedics, showed them our negative test results. The paramedics were like, yeah, well, this is a negative test result. And they're like, oh, this isn't like an approved facility, so this test like might not even be legitimate. And then my friend was like, this was done at the public health office in San Diego by government funded testing, by nurses hired by the public health, like following every single thing. And they ended up taking me to the Naval Hospital, in which they started treating me. It was a good maybe hour and 30 minutes before I was like coherent enough to even tell them my name. They were telling me after the fact, when I was more coherent, that I didn't even know where I was, that I thought I was still in San Diego, that I thought I was at Balboa Hospital. They had to like triage me for like stroke because they didn't know what was happening, because I wasn't like coherent enough to like explain anything. And just unfortunately, this is something that I deal with. It's no one's fault really that this happened. I just happened to be standing when I had a little seizure activity and I fell. Like, that's no one's fault. It's just something I deal with. Mm-hmm. But I went to the hospital and they checked me out and they gave me everything I needed, and they made sure I was fine. And I was like, yeah, guys, I'm fine. Like, this happens sometimes. Like, this is normal. This is my baseline. It's just that I fell and hit my head. And then they told the nurse that had called and checked on me that when I left, I would need to be quarantined with someone that could be with me, because I was a fall risk, because I have like a neurological problem that I'm not always at the capacity to like be aware of. And they told them verbatim that I needed to be quarantined with someone, and they said that I couldn't be quarantined with anyone that was like out and about in the world, that like I had to be 100% locked with no human contact. And they were like, she's a fall risk, like she literally fell and knocked herself unconscious, she needs someone. And after being told this, they were like finally willing, the person that I was quarantining with in the hotel, they were finally willing to like give her a test today. They said that they're going to give her a test today at 11, a rapid test, even though we already produced our test results and everything. And then she will release her, and then we can home quarantine at my apartment together. But it's been a whole process.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely awful. They've not taken respect for my health condition. They have not followed any guidelines or anything. It's like the only time they want to bring up the rules is when they're changing them and when they're trying to like prove a point. But the public health official was like, we moved you out of the room, like we did this, we're trying to work with you on your diet. And I was like, I'm sorry, I do not like to be difficult or cause problems or anything, but I'm not asking for insane requests. I'm literally trying to just like, not, it might be a little dramatic, but like not fall and die. Like I need nutrition, I need someone to be there to make sure that I'm not like having problems, and they're just not following it. And it's just like insane to me that they were literally telling us they're being difficult, and they're like, you're getting free food and a free hotel stay, this, that, and the other. And I was like, at every turn I have offered to pay for my own food. I've offered.
Well, this is nothing new. I hate to say it, but we've heard the same story from a lot of people who have been in the quarantine, people who have met different criteria that public health says on that paper they should be released for, but they're just not getting released. So we've heard the frustration. You're not the first. I pray you'll be the last, but you probably won't be.
I mean, there was a guy that went completely insane at another facility. Whenever the people got there to talk to us, they were like, yeah, sorry, we had another situation. Comes to find out that a guy went completely insane to the point that he was trying to climb out of a balcony. He was breaking stuff. Like, I understand that we need to do everything we can to make sure that this sickness does not ravage this island. It's a small island. Everybody is like really close, like if this got unchecked, it would be awful. But they absolutely need to also be concerned about people's conditions while they're quarantined. There are other problems, and they do not take precedence to the pandemic that we're having. But it's not like one has to be without the other. They can give people reasonable conditions and give them what they literally need without risking the public health.
Kirsten, we're getting some comments here. So we played one of your videos, but there was another video that we saw where you kind of went off on some of the members of the Guard. People had commented here that they felt that was kind of uncalled for. Now, hearing your side, obviously you're very frustrated, but what would you say to those people who think that you went a little hard on our Guards people?
So the video, I rewatched it after the fact, and I was like, oh yeah, I was going a little ham. But like, if in the video, I'm saying things that it's taken out of context are a little rough, but I'm literally saying like, if they're gonna keep us in the room, we're gonna leave. What are they gonna do? And me and my friend, who are honestly small women, we're like, we can take them. They can't stop us. We're joking, and I said that if they kept us in a room like this, we should have a lawsuit. And I was like, I'm going to start a lawsuit, and I'm going to take their dogs in the lawsuit. It was statements that, like, might offend people, but, like, we're, like, laughing and, like, being a little manic about the situation. But it's not like I'm about to go downstairs and beat them. I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to, fight everybody if they make us stay in this room with blood on the walls. And people were mad about it.
Kirsten, where are you now?
I'm actually completely alone in my apartment.
Okay, so you are out of course.
So you're in a self-isolation right now.
Did you disclose you had a pre-existing medical condition when you arrived after you showed your tests, your negative tests?
Yes, I did. I told them that I have multiple sclerosis. They asked when they ask you stuff, they're like, "Do you have food allergies?" This, that, and the other. And I told them that I had multiple sclerosis, and they didn't seem interested in that at all. And so I didn't even think about it at all. I was just like, they asked me if I had a pre-existing medical condition. I told them, and that was that. And then after the fact, the nurse called me and was like, "Oh yeah, you shouldn't be taking your medication." And I was like, "Yes, I'm very aware." And that was the only thing that anyone told me in relation. No one said that I had, and not even with my test results, that I could have been tested in Guam, a rapid test, because I have a pre-existing condition. No one told me any of that. No one told me anything like that. When I asked if we could get rapid tested out of pocket, they said, "We cannot test you. We're not licensed to test you. You just have to wait." And I was like, okay, because everything that they were saying individually sounded legitimate, especially considering that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I didn't do any medical training. So when a public health official says things to you, sometimes you just kind of listen, and if it sounds legitimate, it sounds legitimate. But after all of these legitimate sounding things started to prove the individual statements illegitimate, it snowballed. I kind of went crazy. I lost my mind when they refused to give me the food I wanted or actually needed. I just started going a little.
So you're a returning Guam resident. When did you arrive back to Guam?
The night of the 23rd.
Okay. Wow. When you made those phone calls, what time was that? Was it early in the morning, or was it?
No, it was at night. It was right after we got there, after we were told that we would have to speak to a public official. So it's probably between the time of 9 and 10 at night, and we were told to contact those numbers by the public health officials in the airport.
On that sheet of paper, the number you were, the paper that you were referencing for the phone numbers, did it say anything about whether they're open at this time or closed at this time? Those numbers?
No, I have the paper right in front of me. I read it a couple of times to make sure that I wasn't just kind of looking like a D-bag. It just says that it's the medical triage phone hotline center. And if you need assistance or help or information, to call these numbers. And then directly afterwards, it says failure to voluntarily comply with this request may result in an emergency detention order, which to me does not sound like it's voluntary.
Right, this is not voluntary, it's mandatory. There's been this effort for returning Guam residents, if they test negative, I believe it's the Physicians Advisory Group, they would like for people to home quarantine as opposed to being forced into these government quarantine facilities. But there's been no final decision by the governor on that. So it just really sounds like you have had a hellish time at this government quarantine facility. Was there anything that was positive at all?
How was your mashed potatoes?
I actually didn't get to eat them. By the time dinner arrived, I was already incapacitated in an ambulance. But actually, Captain Babalta of the behavioral health thingy-majigger in the Army, the entire time, he was very understanding. He was trying to keep us calm. He assured us that he was trying to do his best. He was very reasonable. He stayed in contact with us. After I told him I had multiple sclerosis and everything that was going on, he was like, "I'm going to do everything I can to work with you guys." And he was the only person that was speaking to us like we were people. So he was probably the only positive thing out of that. He was the only person being professional. He was the only person that was really making us feel like anyone was concerned about our health and safety at all.
All right. So shout out to Captain Babalta, whoever you are out there. You are appreciated. In closing, I don't know, is there anything you want to
No, I just wanted to thank you for giving us some insight into what some of the passengers that are being forced into quarantine are experiencing that are returning Guam residents. So, I hope things get better for you and your friend who's still in quarantine that's going to be tested today.
Right.
Yeah, I hope they actually do what they say, because according to them yesterday at around 9, they were supposed to start the process of letting us go, and by noon they had changed their attitude because apparently between those times the public official had seen my pictures of the hotel room conditions.
Captain Tom Babauta. Let's give. Good job, Captain. Do you feel bad at all of it going off? There's just another comment here, Kirsten. Why would you take it out on the Army Guardsmen and women? They were just doing what they were ordered to do.
To be perfectly clear, and in the video, me and my friend are acting a little outrageous, but as soon as I opened the door to talk to the officials, my tone changed 100%. I was like, we were, we were laughing. We were like being loud and raising our voices, but like laughing and like trying to vent, but like kind of in a humorous way. And we were just like, doing that. Like, it was at that point, my video wasn't to do anything. It was literally just to like a live video to my friends and family and everything. Right. But they knocked on the door and I was like, hold on, I'm putting my mask on. And as soon as I opened the door, I was like, hi. And I don't remember what she said, but I was like, okay, yes. And then I closed the door. I never yelled at any of the Army Guardsmen. As soon as I opened the door, my attitude changed 100%. I even had comments made on it. They were like, how are you going to act all hard? And then as soon as the door opens, you change your tone. And I was like, well, literally because I don't want to make this freaking Army person that's literally doing their job feel unsafe or anything. Like, I was being a little outrageous on my Facebook page, but as soon as I actually interact, like in the video and everything, as soon as I interacted with this young lady in her uniform, I changed my tone 100%. I became respectful.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks,
thank you,
Kirsten, for sharing your story again.
Yeah, no problem. I hope that some good comes out of this, that they at least change the conditions and get people actual numbers that can give them helpful information and be there for them in their time of need, so no one has to climb out of balconies and have seizures and all of this insanity.
Mm-hmm. All right, take care.
You too. Have a lovely day.
You too.
You too, Kirsten. Wash your hands, okay?
You got it.
Thank you. All right.
You know what? If it were me, I would be.
Oh my God.
You know how I am.
Yeah,
I would
know
be raising all kinds of hell. Like, there's blood on my walls. This aircon's not working.
That's not blood. That's pugwa spit.
I don't care.
No. That's not blood, okay? We got the blue light thing. I wonder if they brought in the blue light thing. And it was like, no, it's not showing up. Yeah. Analyze it. They brought the public health in and they probably swabbed it. And they're like, oh, it's betel nut juice. Oh.
Yeah. I would be one of those people. I would probably be a Kirsten. And I'm sorry, but she went on Facebook and she was emotional. She was upset.
I just wanted to...
I would be calling all the phone numbers too and nobody answering. Just set me off.
We did call all the phone numbers.
I just wanted to corroborate what Sabrina said, because for the last 22 odd years of my life, I have been on the receiving end of many of your tyrants, and justifiably because I started...
Tyrants? No. It's not tyrants.
No, your tirade.
Tirade.
Yeah.
But they're justified. Justified.
You know what they say? Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And then there's this one. That's legit. I mean,
this is the woman.
People do have the right to get upset.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the woman they were talking about when they came up with that saying. Hell hath no fury. Yeah, it's frustrating. And of course, people...
And she's not the only one we have heard from.
Oh, man.
I mean, come on.
We heard from...
The mold in the rooms, the no aircon.
Now, you may disagree with her.
The shower... What did you say? There was no shower head?
Okay. Now a lot of people... a lot of people, understandably so, I mean, the way we do things like island culture, we're respectful, we're brought up to, not speak outside our part. But some people in the comment stream... do not agree with her tone or her tact, but you've got to respect the fact that she defended her position, and she was trying to do what was right for herself. And she said it's not just for her. She's also trying to make this so that others don't have to go through what she has gone through.
Yeah. I mean, it's frustrating. People can go through the same thing, but the minute someone who comes from the outside says the same thing that someone who's from here will say, all of a
Outside,
sudden
she's a returning resident.
I know, but that's the problem that people had with it. It's like, oh, she was going off on the guardsmen. Well, I'm pretty sure she was frustrated. And we know that she's not the only one who's been going off.
Yeah, I mean,
on the
if I
quarantine.
was returning and my son was with me, oh man, I probably would have been arrested.
Yeah. And then you'd be doing a whole other kind of quarantine. 9:15. Let's keep it going on the phones here. There's something you might have heard about that's happening this weekend. I know a lot of people are talking about this COVID-19 pig derby. Yeah. And so let's bring the agriculture director, Chelsea, onto the line here. Good morning.
How's-a-day? Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
So we're doing
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, happy Tuesday. We're doing a pig derby. It is. I know. I thought it was Monday. My schedule's
Every
all
day feels like Monday, honestly, now.
Right?
for the last 2 months, right? I guess just because I know you guys do the pig derbies, but how did you come up with this idea to do it at this time?
Actually, Senator Rigel called and asked if we could hold a pig derby to help address some of the needs for families that need food. And it just sounded like such a perfect idea at the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, we had extended the hunting season anyway, but because of the social restrictions or social distancing restrictions, we were only extending the hunting season for people who currently had hunting licenses. So people who wanted to get new licenses couldn't. And since some of the restrictions have been eased and we've been integrating more people into work at the department, we thought this is a perfect opportunity to sell hunting licenses to people who wanted to buy new ones, and then have a pig hunting derby to help reduce our invasive feral pig population, but also provide food to families in need. It just, all the benefits just were evident for this, so we thought this is a perfect chance.
Right.
It is. When are we going to do the chicken derby?
I think we should maybe start like a kids program for that.
So what do people need to do to sign up for this pig derby?
Well, we're trying a new approach here. They need to register, but what we're doing is circulating the registration form through social media, through emails, through WhatsApp. So we've already started doing that. But we also have our office available for people who want to drop off those documents, and then we're having in-person registration. We had it this past Friday on the 22nd, and we're having another in-person registration on the 29th, where people can drive into the department, park. We have someone who will come out to you fully masked and all their gear, present you with the registration form.
I don't know if you covered this already, but because I know that this is going to be going to feed people, is there going to be someone there cleaning? Is it, if you kill it, you clean it?
No, well, so the hunters are donating the pigs. So we have sponsors, or well, not sponsors, but participants who've come on board offering their assistance. Both Matson and APL are offering refrigerated containers that we will stage so people can turn in their pigs to be counted so that they can win a prize. And then the mayors will come on Monday to pick up the pigs, and they've already identified people in their villages who need the additional food support, so they'll present it to them.
And when's the derby? It's this weekend?
The derby will be on the 30th and the 31st. Okay. The check station will open at 4:30 a.m. and close at 8 p.m., but hunting begins 30 minutes before sunrise and ends 30 minutes after sunset.
Mm-hmm.
And is this where's this again?
Yeah, where's it at?
The check station will be at the Department of Agriculture.
I see. And then is the hunting? Where's the hunting ground? Is it just all over?
We have our Guam map books where we will have the hunters mark off and identify where they will be hunting. So we will have conservation officers patrolling in those areas. And available for assistance if they need, but we will know where the general areas for each of the hunters will be at.
What about deer?
Deer will not be accepted. It's not part of the derby.
Okay.
And then the hunters will each come with identified runners who will be assisting them. they identify obviously where the runners are, and the runners can be coming in to turn in the meat while the hunters continue hunting.
Nice. What's the response that you guys have gotten? Because I feel like people are kind of pent up and they want to go shoot it stuff.
Well, for the first Friday that we had over, I think, 16 people come in submit forms, but we had only announced it just that Thursday with the press release and with the registration form. So we're expecting a lot more this week.
Right.
And we had someone waiting at the department 8 a.m. this morning to turn in stuff. So people are excited, and we're excited to be able to participate and help them.
All categories. Can you bring your whatever firearm, crossbow, even maybe?
If you have, or if you're planning on using a firearm, you need to present a valid firearms ID.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we also have the bow, I guess, crossbow category, and those are the two categories that can win firearms or crossbow. And we're keeping it simple this year, just to minimize interaction. And the only category that there are to win, or that is available to win, is the most pigs shot.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know about the pig derby. I've never participated in a pig derby. I don't know where you go and hunt for pigs, but just if people are hiking, should they be concerned?
Well,
or?
Yeah. Good
Absolutely.
question.
Which is why we wanted to start publicizing this as much as possible. And at the same time, there have been pigs everywhere.
Right.
So hopefully this makes it even safer for hikers. I mean, we've seen pigs in Tamuning now.
Yeah, scary.
Okay, so what? Hikers don't go hiking on the 30th and 31st? Because there seems like a lot of people are hiking these days.
Right.
That sounds like a great message for them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless they're going to be staying on known hiking routes, maybe, and wearing clearly bright colors, hunting orange and all the bright fluorescent colors possible. But yeah, stay away from going deep into the jungle for sure.
Okay. All right. Anything else going on, Chelsea?
We're slowly bringing back more personnel to do more things. We've just got the hunting derby is a big deal for us right now. Our nursery is not open for purchases, but we're trying to work with FEMA and Island Grow Power as well to procure more seeds and plants so that we can give those out to families in need. That's one of our major focuses right now. We also have, we're trying to start a process with registering fishers on Guam. There's $1 million available for fisheries, for commercial fishers and sustenance fishers. So we're getting ahead of the game by creating our plan right now. NOAA, National Marine Fisheries Science Center, or I guess the subsection of NOAA, is working on creating guidelines that they will then hand off to a Pacific Fisheries Commission, who will oversee the distribution of money to commercial and local sustenance fishers on Guam. And they're supposed to work with us to create a plan, but we're creating our plan now that we'll present to them, so that we can get ahead of the game and have money start getting into the hands of commercial fishers and sustenance fishers who've lost money during this time.
I did want to follow up on something. I think I read it somewhere in the breakdown of CARES funding, or Trump provided to the government of Guam, and I want to say there was money for the farming industry here on Guam. Have you guys gotten any federal funding as a result of the COVID crisis?
It actually hasn't come down to us. I was staying in close contact with USDA through NASDA, which is the National Association of State Agricultural Departments, and they provided a lot of information to us about that, but the money wasn't directly channeled through us. From what I understand, it was going to USDA Farm Services Agency, and it's supposed to be available to farmers at the end of this month now. So I think they're I saw an email from Tom Camacho that they're going to be having a webinar about that for how farmers can take advantage of direct payments. And from what I understand, they're just going to have records to document their crop losses and economic losses, and then they would be able to get direct payments for those.
Okay, so it's all U.S. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the only funding I saw that was available to farmers.
Okay, and it's through USDA, not necessarily Department. Okay.
Man, Chelsea, you know, you guys did some really cool orange long sleeve pig derby shirts. I want to say last year or the year before. Are you doing any of those for this weekend?
No, I think we only have extra larges and double XLs available from last year's.
Oh,
And
good. I'm going to text you on the side,
2018.
okay? Because my mom took my shirt.
Okay. We didn't have enough time to do procurement and all of that for shirts right now.
Right.
But this is kind of like not an emergency. Well, I guess it's kind of an emergency hunt, but we'll try and do something else maybe later in the year. This is put together with a lot of logistical support from our senators' offices. We try not to task the mayors with any sort of work because they're already going through so much right now.
Right.
So their only responsibility is to come and pick up the meat on Monday, and that's it. We didn't want to bother them with anything else. And then, like I said, Matson and APL both stepped up and offered their assistance. They really wanted to help out.
Well, thank you, Chelsea, for your input and anything you need. You got our number. Keep us in the loop as we head towards the Derby this weekend.
Sure, thank you. And I want to say yes, I'm still a Munya.
Right. Okay. I got you.
All right.
Okay.
Some of the comments.
Oh.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
Take care.
Wash your hands, then.
Every day, all the time.
Okay, good. Okay, bye. 9:25. We'll take a little break. What do you think? We're going to get us some of this pig meat or what? You down?
No, I think it's for people that really,
is.
really need it.
No,
so.
there are people who really
I know
need
you. It was so obvious you wanted a shirt.
Was it that obvious?
Yes.
I'm just saying, it was a nice shirt. No, I was asking for the hunters because it's bright orange. You know, I'm looking out for the hunters here, Bree. Okay.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's hiking, you might not want to hike over the weekend.
Yeah.
Or if you do, wear really bright.
That's why I was saying if they got the shirts, you wear the orange shirt, people can see. You got to be visible, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point you brought up, though. It kind of sounded like maybe they need to get some people at the entrances to these areas because she said that they are going to be asking the hunters to show them the area they're going to be hunting in, so someone's going to be keeping track of it.
I don't
You're right.
know. I'm just I wouldn't want to go hiking if I know there's going to be this major pig derby going on.
Well, maybe we could reach out to some of the hiking people this week and find out.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably already, know where to stay away from, I guess. I don't know.
Right. See, that's why you're where you're at, is you think of those angles that some people might not have remembered. 9:26, we'll take a little break. It's the KUAM
Or
News.
it's just a stupid question.
It's the KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus, gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
Be healthy. Be informed with IT&E. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Calling all graduating seniors. Join us by showing your class pride in the celebration caravan you deserve through the island's major thoroughfares. KUAM and its partners want to recognize your accomplishments and help celebrate this pivotal moment in your lives. To participate, email promotions@kuam.com and let's get this show on the road. Special thanks to ABC Stores Guam and The Dungeon.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
On you. We just wanted to address a couple issues here real quick because I noticed you guys have noticed that we haven't had the Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio on, and it's been a couple weeks And just to give you a little heads up, we had got the message last Monday from Adelup Press Secretary Crystal Paco that could the Lieutenant Governor reschedule his weekly appearance on our show to Friday. And so on, I think, Wednesday or Thursday, I basically was like, yeah, well, look, you're going to look at the schedule. And she said, oh, checking the schedule. I didn't ever hear back. And so I said, wow, must be a busy schedule. And the response was, yeah, it's very busy. And we just never heard anything. And Tuesday is our day to have Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio on. Again, we didn't hear anything. And so I guess we don't have that commitment anymore from the Lieutenant Governor, but I wish you would have told somebody. You know what I mean? And that's a big part of what a communications department does is, I don't know, they communicate things. Probably preemptively. And I feel like the vibe we get from the communications team at Adelup is, God, we're just so busy doing all this other stuff that's not even our job to get back to you. Like that's your job, literally, is to communicate. And it's just a little frustrating when we have these commitments and we're totally willing to honor them, but it's just not reciprocated. And I don't know what level of, like, are we in the big leagues or is this minor league baseball? Because in the big leagues, you tell people when you're going to blow off a commitment. You kind of let them know. I mean, I'm not telling you how to do your job, but I think that's probably how you do your job. It's just, again, a little frustrating that we don't hear anything. We have to, like, WhatsApp till we're blue in the face. It's so frustrating. And then you see that the work that they are doing is campaign commercials. I don't know if you guys saw the Theodore Roosevelt campaign commercial that came out. I really don't understand what is the point of that. So we hired somebody at the beginning of COVID. It was like one of the first things we did was we hired a videographer. We, meaning you and us, but it works at Adelup. And so they hired a guy who just, his job is to just shoot videos, I guess, and to put these cool commercials together. And I'm not dissing on Roosevelt. It is what it is, right? But if you go and watch that video, what is the purpose of it? Is it educational? No, it's not. Does it tell us anything we didn't already know? No, it's not. Is it informational? Not really. It really just looks like a campaign commercial. There's even a shot of the governor and they're waving at the Roosevelt and they do a little elbow, but which is okay. I get it, right? You want to get some shine off of it. But I'm just saying, like, we're putting so much time and energy into making these campaign commercials with our hard-earned tax dollars, or maybe they're using the CARES Act funds. I don't know.
Yeah, that's CARES Act funds that could be used for something else.
Right.
I mean, I'm sick and tired of hearing, we got all this CARES Act funding, we're going to pay for this and CARES Act funding.
Like, what are you guys doing with it? We're just hearing so many, like, what my friend owns a daycare. She posted on her Facebook, hey, they have all this CARES Act funds that's supposed to go to child care facilities, but they don't say anything about it. Then you get Congressman St. Nicholas chiming in like, hey, they got the money. I don't know why they're not giving it out. We don't know why either because they don't say why. Which is, again, where you go back to a communications department that's supposed to communicate things like that. Instead, what you have is a community who is not just hungry for food, not just hungry for commodities, not just hungry for money, starving for information. That's what we just don't know. Look at this ajudan programan sa lapi para itaw-taw.
I think the last I heard was 3.5 million out of the 20 million was paid out, and I think that was last week Friday. And I had or Thursday, I can't remember, but I had to ask for the information. I mean, I think the people would appreciate daily updates on the EIP and the Programan Salapi Zudan Itaw-taw program.
I mean, it's pretty easy. What I do is
and if you are updating it regularly, daily, let us know where.
Yeah.
You know.
I do. It really helps me as I make what I call a little clock. So when I do a show, I'm like, we're going to do this at that time. I mean, Google Calendar is also a good app that you guys could use because we're not just trying to make you look bad. Not even. Really want you to do a great job. Of course, we're paying your salary. Mm-hmm. But it's just frustrating because we get these comments where people are saying they applied, they haven't got it. So really, it would just be a good thing for you guys to come out with the information before we got to go and pull teeth trying to get it. It's just kind of basic, you know? I mean, you communicate. And I think really 90% of the perception and the problems, well, maybe a little less, I don't know, depends. But the problems that the governor's getting, it's really because a lot of it is a lack of communication. It's a confused messaging. It's no messaging. I mean, I don't know how these people now
Or focusing your attention on unnecessary videos.
like campaign commercials. Really, like, I mean,
Where's the videos of the people, the governor visiting people in the grab and go line?
yeah, and that's kind of the vibe I got from it. You know, I just feel like, man, we want to jump through all these hoops. And I'm not saying we shouldn't help the sailors, not at all. But I'm saying when you watch that video, it's just kind of like, wow, we really rolled out the red carpet. And meanwhile, out here, it's like, hang in there. Yeah, programming Azuda and Salapi, we already gave it to you. Just shut up and wait for it. That's just kind of what it seems like, because there's no messaging. There's no communication. And I don't know what they do. Like, what are you guys doing if you're not putting out communications and messaging? What are you doing? Your makeup? I don't know. Again, and it's just frustrating because it's just simple things like that. You have a lieutenant governor make a commitment to call in, and then it just stops. You have an administration make a commitment to be transparent, and then it's like, oh no, subpoena us. You know, there's all these commitments that get made, and they just fall by the wayside. They can't even keep it up for 2 weeks. The press conferences.
And I mean, if you think we're having a hard time with information, hello, have you seen the recent oversight hearing? Have you seen the sessions with your senators? They had to override a bill on transparency.
Yeah. And then what happened? They still got no transparency. I mean, and that's another thing, man. These we're kind of, and it's frustrating for them, but we're kind of waiting for you guys to get on our level here, senators, because, man, they're just walking all over you guys. I mean, that oversight hearing where you had these lawyers like, oh, can't answer that. Oh, I can only read this statement.
Can't call. Jason?
Oh, okay. I did just want to jump in there. There is a couple side chats, as there always are, on our absolutely thriving, wonderful community comment stream here. One thing that people are talking about that keep bubbling up is the line at Ross this weekend. There doesn't really seem like they're passing judgment one way or the other. Obviously, there are going to be people that favor capitalism and the return to, you know, the business. Other people are saying, whoa, that didn't seem to be 6 feet social distancing. I know I've seen pictures of I think it was like Ross in the States, and people were literally shoulder to shoulder. Mm-hmm. So I guess my question to you, Bree, is when you first saw those pictures, we get them sent to us. You know, we get tips from users all the time. When you first saw that picture, what was your immediate reaction?
I was like, whoa. I wonder if they're open at like midnight and if anybody will be there.
You're thinking I could use another curtain rod, right?
No. I thought, whoa, that's a lot of people. But, you know, I was like, what are the hours?
Okay, and if you haven't seen them yet, the line, if you know Ross...
Is it 24 hours? Or
if you know Ross at GPO, right, you know that lay of the land and everything like that. Mm. The line basically went from inside Ross, and that's a pretty, like what, maybe like 30, 40 feet outside the door, all the way out around the left side to where we're heading towards Forever 21. Mm-hmm. The line went all the way back there. That's a long line.
Yeah.
But certainly there are people who need goods that, you know, they wanted to get out, do some shopping and everything like that. Did you think it was proper social distancing, Chris? I mean, it seemed like there was a decent amount of space between.
I give up.
Oh, no, I wasn't there. So.
But one thing I did want to share is I actually took my mom.
I mean, obviously they were keeping people out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I did take my mom out, and I wanted to share this because I know you both have had similar situations. But I took my mom on Sunday, and I said, let's just go for a drive. We're not going to get down. We're not going to even roll the windows down. Please mask up, wear gloves. You know, we both look like we're like on a hazmat team, just driving around, right? And while I was going around, I was astonished at how many people were even driving around in their cars without masks, and people were just walking, running, jogging right next to each other, no masks. And I was like, wow.
You know where I really want to go to?
That blew me away.
I really want to go to the beach. I've not been able to go to the beach. And every time I ask my son, like, hey, let's go to the beach. Nah, I'm okay.
Your son's beached out already. He's been to the beach, right?
Yeah, he goes to the beach with everybody else except me. And I'm like, man, I just want to just...
You're just not
sit
cool. I'm
Yeah.
going through the same thing. Some of my kids, they think I'm not cool. I'm like, hey, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, Bree, beaches are closed, though. Unless
Okay,
Well, my son isn't going to go to the beach by himself.
That statement was very confusing when we got that. You know, whether you got it with a text message or whether you got it from, you know, like whatever medium you got it with. Public parks and beaches are closed except for individual use.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just...
But isn't there a thing where, like, when you go to the beach and you go swimming, you're supposed to, you know, safety-wise, you're supposed to be with somebody to watch out for you.
Right.
But, you know, I get it. Social distancing and safety.
Yeah.
Do you practice social distancing when you swim?
Jason, what?
Oh, this guy.
No, but I couldn't go to the beach alone. I would have to have somebody there just in case, you know,
Yeah.
I decide to get in the water.
No, and I think what they mean, it's not what they're saying, but it came up one of the press conferences, is the same household. So if you're all in the same household, you can go as long as it's not over 10. But really, no one's even listening to that because I was driving around like Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, God, you guys, just like everyone's at the beach. They're laughing at the governor saying the beaches are closed. The only way they're closed is they're barricading the parking, but that's not even stopping anybody.
Mm-hmm. I went to check the beach yesterday. Joser and I, we were working on Memorial Day, and so one of the places I wanted to check out was the beach, and we went to Governor Flores Beach Park, and they're actually well, okay, yeah. So we went there, and you know the gates were closed,
Right.
and we really didn't see that many people there, and that was around 11, right? 11 o'clock.
Yeah. I think towards sunset, it's super packed because everyone's going to see the sunset.
Okay, sorry. Last thing, I promise, I swear.
Oh, okay, take your time.
Verna Chargaloff Mindiola says, and you know, if we could give you Verna top fan status for this, she goes, and here I thought that I loved Ross. I will wait it out, and that's fair. You know, you have that right. But Ross is open now for your shopping needs. But she goes, Dalai, Guam even made TMZ.com. I didn't know that. Did you guys see that?
No.
I mean, I don't frequent TMZ.com anyway, but you know, I had no idea that we made that. That's interesting.
Okay, I can just imagine the headline. Yep. Move over, brown tree snakes.
Oh, that's the other one, yeah.
Okay, let's get Senator Moylan on real quick because I saw you came out with a release. Senator, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Chris. Good morning, Bree.
Good morning.
We got a couple minutes here, but your release, a lot of people we're talking about, not necessarily your release, but about this news. Hiring, yep. Deputy director in the middle of a pandemic. That's not the only one. There's also some questionable hires at the Guam Regional Transit Authority that we've discussed on this program. And then also it was announced that they hired a director for CAHA.
Right, correct. And
that's like a 4-person agency that I think Governor Calvo had put under Department of Chamorro Affairs or something. There was a reorganization, right, in order to save what's called the taxpayers' monies. But now that's out the door because, for whatever reason. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that was very concerning, and that's why I brought up this letter and the announcement to bring attention to it and look for solutions. But you're right, and more importantly, I just want to thank all the news folks because this transparency would not happen unless you folks were on it. So I appreciate that because it's difficult for me to get any answers to my letter, but at least it stirs the pot, and we do get some answers through the efforts of you folks. So thank you for that. And as we go through this pandemic and we're taking care of our health and we're watching how to wash our hands and the right social distancing that we must probably continue for quite some time until we can find some cure for this, we also have to be concerned about what is our next step. And the next step is what we see at PD when the food lines opened up there and the traffic was back to back because people are still hungry, right? And we saw this again, or we hear about it again, why people wait for their the PUA checks to come out as well. from GDOL, and then recently this morning we understand that there's still a time frame even after you enter, and they have up to 20 days, but they'll hope to expedite it. But what that's pointing out is that people are still hungry, and so why in the world are we hiring people, directorship positions and deputy directorship positions for non-essential agencies that haven't had that position filled for how long?
Yeah, years.
Years. What is the sense of urgency there? I'm not sure on the priorities of why this is being done, and it shouldn't be done. And you mentioned the money as well, right? So, okay, you pay them now, but how are we going to continue this payment when we know our tourism numbers are down, our general fund, the budget for that, the DRT, GRT will be lower, and the employees tax will be lower, and those are the two biggest money for government of Guam to just survive, and it's not going to be there. So why are we prioritizing that? I'm even concerned about the FY20 budget. If we can continue, sure, they're hoping for this federal money to just roll on in, but it's a stop. The airport authority, they have already told us maybe September we can survive till then, but other agencies as well. So why we're doing all this? This is like saying, I just lost my job. Let's go on vacation. It doesn't make sense. And still, we have a budget that was proposed at just over $1 billion, and there's no direction coming from. The only direction I see, thankfully for the media, is that the hiring is not a problem for Adelup, and I can't put my finger on it, and I think it should be rethought out, because we have to survive after this pandemic with the finances to provide our government services and allow people to go back to work. And if the government can't perform the basic responsibilities it has to do, then we're in big trouble. And that's why I'd like to put the urgency back to this, right? Yes, let's take care of the health, but yes, please, let's focus on moving our government forward. And how we have to do that is not, well, maybe, Chris, we wouldn't need your help on the magic wand, but it's really important that we think logically, and hiring more people for non-essential is not proper for me. And
Any of your Democrat colleagues down there at the legislature feel the same?
No. Maybe they do, but I haven't heard them voice it, and I think that's important. And if they want me to voice it for them, hey, you can sign my petition. That's fine. But
what petition?
If they want me to voice their concerns, I'll do that.
Thought you had another kind of petition going.
No. I'll speak up for them, and it's not really to point fingers at all.
Yeah, Senator, it's really just a bonehead move. I mean, it's really just one of these like WTF Adelup, what are you thinking kind of moves. Yeah. Because I totally understand you owe people political favors. Right? You got to fill this deputy position because it hasn't been filled in decades, and you owe somebody, or obviously it's a favor. That's how these positions work. Right. Okay, so I get that. I get it. That's the way it's always been. If a Republican governor wins, it's going to be the same thing as what's happening now. It is. That's the reality of it. They get their people in. But you couldn't wait till after the COVID? Like, that's the thing about it. It's like, who's calling the shots up there? Whose idea was it, like, oh, let's go hire this deputy and let's go hire this director and, like, let them eat it?
Who's the director for CAHA?
They just appointed one.
Do you have the name?
Gillette Leon Guerrero.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, possibly they are qualified for this. I'm not saying that they're not, but again, it's the timing. Why do such a thing now when there's even talks about
furloughs?
So what are we doing?
I mean, Jesus, out of one side of Adelup's mouth, they're like, we're going to furlough people if we have to double pay. And the other side, they're like, hey, come and work for us. We'll give you $100,000 a year. Don't worry. Yeah, right on. Hey.
Yeah.
We'll get you in yesterday.
Yeah. So it's discouraging.
It's just boneheaded. It's really just boneheaded. Like, whoever's directing the policy or the communications, or who like says, hey, yeah, that's cool. Hey, how you think this one's gonna fly? Oh, I think they're gonna love that. Yeah, run it. Oh, it's really just really blockheaded. Like, what are you guys thinking? Like, I mean, there's so many other things. Why don't you put all that time and energy into finding out where the hell we're at with this Ajudan Programas sa Lapi para Itautau program. Give us an update on that. I don't know. Why don't you work as hard to get the damn homeless housed instead of all this runaround?
Again, very, very good points, and that's where energy should be focused. Because yes, take care of the health, but just as important is taking care of the economy to pay for what the people need. So I appreciate. Chris,
thanks for taking the call, Senator. Appreciate it.
Wait, I didn't want to let you go. I wanted to ask you, what did you think about that oversight hearing last week?
Oh yeah, we didn't get to talk to you.
Oh, which one now? There
one. Come on, Senator. The one oversight hearing where everybody pleaded the fifth.
There. Oh, it got my heart rate up, and I wasn't taking a jog. And then why? Why do that to us? Why do that to the senator when you had every opportunity to voice to the public and to the senators? Just be upfront. And if your client is the governor, you are a government employee.
Crazy.
So therefore, you represent the people of Guam, and that's who we are. That's the elected people are representing the people of Guam. We can talk about this, and we can tell us senators how we can assist you, instead of just telling us senators to be like, you don't have the key to the
attorney-client privilege. Yeah,
that was ridiculous. Yeah. And I'm not to say anything personal, but really don't play that game with us. If this is such an important situation, then let's talk. Then let's come up front and let's do the hard work.
I just don't get it. You're right. I mean, the governor is the client. The governor works for the people. These guys were in there acting like they work for like Pfizer or some, pharmaceutical private business. Like, oh, we can't discuss that because of our client. Well, hello, we're paying you. We're paying you. We're paying your client. We're paying all you guys. We're paying you.
Yes. And we will continue to do that, and we have to continue to come up with some ideas to make this right. But if you just want to shut the door, that's not helping anyone. And that was very discouraging, and it kind of got me upset a little bit. But,
I don't know. Yeah. You guys, I mean, really,
yeah. Well, what can we say? So now we just got to move forward. And so I want to bring this point up, and I really want the Adelup to give a hard look at the budget that they propose. Now's the time to make those hard decisions, and I think the people of Guam will understand with this situation. And then later, as we build our economy back, then we can focus on growing it. But this is not the time, and we can focus on the essentials that must be done. If you had to realign people, Harvard's got to be, and there were plans before, but I think from Adelup, from the leadership, you would really have the backing of the people of Guam to say, we just have to do something, and this is a good time to do it, instead of just saying, well, I have no idea. Let's leave it up to the legislature. That's not how it works. This is the leadership of the governor. This is the governor who leads the island, and then we, as the policymakers, do our best to enforce that vision by making laws to help support. So it needs to come from top down. If you want it from bottom up, I will be happy to do that.
More than happy. Thank you, Senator.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wash your hands.
And good luck with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
And I'm surprised he hasn't run out of stamps yet. Many letters is that guy. I wonder if anyone's ever going to be like, hey, you going to write a bill, or is he writing letters, or?
I think he's been doing both.
Oh, man.
At least he's not giving up,
All right. 9:57. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back and end this show on a good note. It is the KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite, I-94. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
GU Self-Storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Calling all graduating seniors. Join us by showing your class pride in the celebration caravan you deserve through the island's major thoroughfares. KUAM and its partners want to recognize your accomplishments and help celebrate this pivotal moment in your lives. To participate, email promotions@kuam.com and let's get this show on the road. Special thanks to ABC Stores Guam and The Dungeon.
Guam's favorite KOM News takeover of I-94 containing COVID. As always, we end each and every day on a good note because there's just so much stuff that comes at us the whole 4 hours. It's like, by the time we get to the end, we're just like, give me something positive. Hit me with something that's going to hit me in the feels. And so we're going to go to the Guam Association of Realtors. They were able to do a great donation drive. We're seeing so much of this, and I want to bring Peggy and the gang from GAR onto the line. I don't know who you have there with you, Peggy, but good morning.
Half a day. Good morning to your listeners, Chris and Bree.
Good morning.
Good morning. With me, actually, I'm very proud to introduce our Guam Realtors Young Professionals Network. Our overall chair is Vincent Calvo, and with him as well is Justin Brown, who is the subcommittee chair for our community outreach. You know, these young men are truly going to be the future leaders of the association, so I'm happy to have them speak a little bit more about the initiatives we've had. In fact, since March, we've been doing things already in relation to the COVID-19, so they can certainly talk a little bit more about that.
Guys, and just if you could, as we got a few minutes here, if you could just start from the beginning. We're playing the pictures now on the Facebook. When did you guys come up with this idea that, hey, we're this association, we got a big membership, we could really mobilize and do something that's going to make a difference in the community?
Half a day, Chris and Bree. This is Vincent Calvo, the overall chair of the GRYPN committee. GRYPN stands for Guam Realtor Young Professional Network, and in the name, we're a young group. The Realtor Association does have a large membership, and a lot of our membership is young, and this is a way that we get our young members involved. We did have a lot of a community outreach initiatives planned for the months of March, April, and May, but due to the whole COVID pandemic, we did have to cancel a bunch of them. So we were thinking of ways where how can we change or adapt to the situation, and we thought what better way than to do some a supply drive. We did have a supply drive slated for later in the year, but we pushed it up, and we had a great showing, a great turnout on Saturday, and big thanks and big up to the community for their huge donations. That's kind of why we came up with this supply drive initiative, and just want to give back to the community.
Right, and so I guess in closing, guys, what would your message be to other groups? Because we've seen it, groups are popping up. They're finding ways to give back to the community. Maybe a friendly competition. You guys want to, call anybody out, or what do you want to say to those other groups out there who can make a difference, like you guys did?
Justin, go ahead and take it away.
No problem. Well, I think the people of Guam need as much help as they can get. So whoever's out there who feels inspired to go out and help, the more the merrier. You don't want to see, too much unfriendly competition, but if you and your group can come out and help your community by doing anything, any small positive impact would be greatly appreciated in this time of need.
Right on. So that's, again, why we want to bring you guys
Appreciate it.
and share the good work you're doing in the community and let you guys know that we think you guys are COVID heroes. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
God bless you, Peggy and Vincent, Justin.
Thank you very much.
Good job. Okay, wash your hands, guys.
God bless. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye. Adios. All right. So there you go, 10:04. Good job today, Sabrina.
Good job.
I pray that you get to go to the beach sometime soon as an individual.
Thanks.
Good job today, Jay. Okay. Usually has something to say. Joe, sir. Thank you. Sabrina, anything else? You good?
Nope.
Okay, I want to thank you guys again for catching the show, KUAM TV 11, right here on the radio. There's streams, Docomo Channel 10, KUAM.com, and the KUAM News app. And also, last but not least, on the Edward R. Murrow award-winning social media networks of KUAM News on our Facebook Live. Thank you guys so much for watching. For my partner here in this multimedia broadcast extravaganza, Sabrina Salas-Mantanani.
Thanks, everybody, for listening, watching, onlining.
Yeah, we're used to lining now. It's 10:05. My name's Chris. Estajo.
Bye.